So start anytime now. Yeah.
This episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace, it's an all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy for you to create your own professional website or online portfolio. Support This Is Only a Test by giving Squarespace a try. You can get a free trial at squarespace.com and 10% off your first purchase by using the offer code TEST. That's just T-E-S-T. Thanks.
Hey, let's start the show.
It's October 17th, 2013. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith, adjusting cables at my feet. We have a great show today. Norman Chan's here.
It's very Babe Ruth of you.
Why is that Babe Ruth of me?
You don't point to where you're gonna hit the home run before you hit the home run.
Oh, you know, it's every episode of Saturday Night Live in the last 30 years
you should start
has
with,
started with, we have a great show tonight.
That's because they've been doing it for 22 years.
But they did it on the first show. They had no idea if it was going to be great. You set the greatness in the audience's mind, and they're like, you know what? That was a great show.
We have a great effort for you today.
This is gonna be the 35th best show we do this year. 52 a year, number 35.
That's
at
the bottom
least
50%.
or better. Wesley Fenlon is joining us today.
Hello.
Hey, Wes.
The great show thing, that's Conan's thing.
Is that Conan?
Every show. I mean, I'm sure SNL
They do
does
it on
too,
SNL too.
But Conan's thing, his monologue
Opens?
always opens with him talking about how great and I think usually also terrible his show is going to be.
Well, I feel like he delivers on that pretty much every night.
Both great and terrible?
Yeah, both great and terrible. Because
Yeah.
you can be great and
Agreed.
awful at the same time.
Triumph. I mean,
Yeah.
that says it all. The masturbating bear,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he's just a weird looking guy.
Is Arcade Fire here?
No, we don't have Arcade Fire. I would love one day to just pan over and be like, hey guys, we've got MSFTKRM, and then there's a band over there. That would be amazing. I think the photo studio downstairs would get kind of pissed off, though. I feel like we don't have the right space for a right kind of venue for a band.
We're next to a bar that
They
has a
might be
band.
big fans. I mean,
They could be. Hey, if there are any bands out there, we have a live event next week that we could use a little in-house music for. It's a 24-hour podcast, for the kids and doctors and electronics.
Do you know any famous flautists?
We know a couple of cellists.
What about a harpist?
I don't think we get a harp up the stairs. It's a pretty tight turn. Harp's a big instrument. They're heavy. It's like a piano on its
Joanna
side.
Newsom.
You play the piano. I mean,
We can't
that's
get a
basically a
piano up
harp without keys. With keys.
Are there electronic harps?
There's that laser
Like
harp.
electronic pianos?
We've seen the laser harp, right? They
I've
have
not
that
seen the
at
laser
they
harp.
have it at the Exploratorium, maybe.
Does it shoot lasers or?
The strings are replaced by lasers.
That's the best instrument. That's like the keytar of harps.
It's the
And so
the
when you
holophoner.
break the line of sight between
Exactly.
the laser, it's binary though.
I think that it also works on a because you can break part of the laser beam. You can just go through a little bit. The laser beams aren't points.
That's not strumming. That's just.
I think it requires incredibly precise fingering. We'll see that in a couple of weeks at the end of the show. Yeah, we got a good show today. I think there's a lot of dumb stuff to talk about. So but before we do that, Oktobercast, we should tell people about this. It's next Friday, a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
How are you feeling, Norm?
In terms of adjusting my sleep patterns, haven't done that yet.
Okay. Do you feel prepared?
As prepared as I always am,
So the bad thing about this year is that the first year we had no idea what we were getting into.
which was
Right.
part of the appeal.
That was good. That helped, I think. That made it easier. The second year, we knew exactly what we were getting into, but I think I remembered it being easier than it was.
It was easier. It was much easier than the
second
first
year?
Second year
Well,
was
because we
much
knew
easier
what to
than the first year.
expect.
Well, you
However,
also slept the night before, right? Which helped.
did you not sleep the night before the first one?
Something like
The first year, I remember you getting very little sleep in just being like wired for
Cranked up.
the occasion. Yeah.
huh.
It was hard.
Maybe that was the excitement for the iPhone 4S.
Probably both. You
Yeah.
were looking forward to Siri.
I I didn't get one.
Waiting. Yeah, you did.
I didn't get one day of.
Oh,
Both of
right.
you guys
That's
got
right.
shipped
Gary
to
and
the
mine
office.
had ours shipped to the office. So Oktobercast, if you don't know, 24 hours of this is only a test. Gary will be here. Norm, you'll be here. I'll
Yep.
be here. We're going to sit down in this very podcast studio for 24 hours. There's a clock behind us. We're going to set it at 00 because it's going to be noon when we start.
Okay.
And when that clock goes around once, we'll be halfway done. And when it goes around twice,
This is the small hand.
the small hand, the short hand,
Yeah.
not the seconds hand. When it goes around twice, we'll be all the way done.
It'd be nice if it was just the seconds hand going around twice.
That would
and
be
we'd done.
amazing. That would be amazing. A 2-minute podcast.
Can you do a
I'll do
charity
that
for the
3 times a year.
shortest podcast?
Yeah.
As
How much?
opposed to- you're not going to get the longest podcast.
How many guests can we pack into 2 minutes? So we have a bunch of guests coming. Jeff Green making his third appearance on Oktobercast.
He's the only reason I'm coming.
I think we're just going to cede the whole afternoon, the second day to him. Like after the show ends, we're going to leave the stream run and put Jeff Green out here and see what he comes up with.
Hope he live streams something, like a game. I know we'll be live streaming, but
You think he's going to bring Peggle 2? Peggle harder? We're not asking anybody to bring, like, this is purely a fun event, not
But you
a
guys are going
shilling
to do
stuff.
some Oculus stuff, right?
Patrick
hoping to.
Patrick Klepek has promised to help curate a selection of horror games to play in the wee hours of the night
I
wearing
stand
the Oculus.
by my challenge, which is 4 hours in the Oculus Rift.
You'll do that?
4 hours, and then
Without taking it off.
without taking it off, and after every minute after 4 hours, you have to pledge $1.
What's your
Dude, you're going to blow chunks way before 4 hours.
Well,
Well,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
the
he can blow
challenge.
chunks and if he keeps it on, he keeps going.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
that's true.
That's the
Who's
challenge.
going to clean him up?
I'm
though?
not.
And
We're going to put him on a tarp over in the corner.
the challenge is, I mean, that's all you would pledge. The pledge need to come beforehand. If you pledge, you have to pledge.
What's
that
your
after
cutoff for
4
doing
hours,
this? $5,000? If you get $5,000 in pledges, you'll do this?
Well, it depends on time because after 4 hours, every hour is potentially $60 in pledges
Per
So
person.
that's per person. That's not that much money. If you're planning on donating $20, $50,
If you get 10 people, it's $600.
That's right. So it only works if there are a lot of people who pledge. So
Maybe-
I need I think at least
Say 30.
20 pledges.
Start a forum thread.
And this is after you've worn it for 4 hours already.
Yeah, so it's an endurance to reach 4 hours.
I mean, obviously, you want people to donate
what's the-
throughout the whole thing.
What do people pledge if you make it to 4 hours?
no, you don't.
$20 each.
If you get, if
Is
I,
there a
ju-
base
if I
level?
just make it to 4 hours, nothing happens. You like, and at 4 hours that's cut off.
I
That's
think
it.
you're making this too hard on yourself.
No, that's why it's a challenge. That's enticing the pledge.
Let's put this in context.
Every minute after 4 hours, $1 must be donated.
What's your record to date for Oculus Endurance? I think maybe 40 minutes. Yeah.
45 minutes.
And how did you feel at the end of 45 minutes?
All right.
You looked pretty green.
No, I mean at home. All right, no problem.
Okay. Well, when you did it here, I thought we might need to get a bucket.
The software is better here.
The software is better.
is better now.
That's true. Okay, so Oktobercast, we're starting next Friday at noon. That's
If 4
October
hours,
25th.
If you think 4 hours is unreasonable, I'm willing to compromise and say 3 hours.
I would say
But
bring it
think-
down to 2.
I think 2 is not challenging enough.
That's more than double your current record.
I'm gonna let.
Because remember, the goal here is to raise money, not to watch you suffer. I mean, but ideally, we get to do both.
So, what do you think is acceptable? You think 2 hours?
I think 2 hours
will reach suffering.
And then after that point, the clock starts ticking on the pledges. A buck a minute.
That's like doing 100 push-ups as opposed to 1,000 push-ups.
I'm telling you, the point is we want to make money for the kids and the electronics and the doctors.
All right, if enough people will pledge
So-
for 2 hours being the starting point.
$1 per minute after 2
after
hours.
2 hours of Oculus Rift.
So that's say $60 an hour. You're not going to make it past 4 hours. There's no way.
Is this 2 hours of you playing games,
games.
on it? Okay.
Play
Do we
games.
get to choose the games, or
Yeah,
do you
of
get
course.
to choose the games?
No.
Oh.
Everyone else gets to choose the games.
Oh. And if you pledge more, let's say if you
yeah,
donate
yeah.
more than
the
$50,
people who pledge,
you get to pick the next game.
Get to pick the games.
Well,
yes.
assuming
I like
we
that.
don't fill out too far.
Yeah.
So
The people who pledge.
we'll work out some real rules before the show. We'll figure out how it'll all work. That sounds great. So it's just gonna be nothing but Slender Man. 24 hours of amnesia, machine for pigs.
It's going to be whatever is going to make you
Jump
nauseous
scares.
the easiest.
Yeah, they're gonna pick the stuff that has
no,
all
I
the.
think it's more fun to see terror than to see puking. I mean, maybe finish off with puking because
I
you only
think-
get that once. With terror, that's a gift that keeps on coming.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you a secret. They want terror so terrifying that you end up puking. They
No,
want
so
both.
You cap it with puking.
Well, but okay. Well, we'll see. This is sounds like a revolting thing. We might have to put this in another room so we don't have to smell it when you finally let loose.
Buy some.
Just
Febreze.
bring some extra clothes.
So last year, you guys intentionally started at the end of the day to make it a little tougher to go 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Are there plans?
No. I don't think it was.
No, we wanted to do it for time zones because we were worried that people on the east, on the West Coast would be at work at noon and wouldn't be able to watch the first 6 hours of the show, which seemed to be a real thing that happened.
So are there any plans this year to up the challenge for staying awake 24 hours?
No, it's hard enough as it is, Wes.
Just wondering.
We're old, except for Norm. Gary and I are old.
Also with child.
Yeah, the children thing has my sleep. I understand how Gary came into this last year thinking, oh, I now have superpowers. I can do this. But that's not really the way it works in the real world. The way it works in the real world is that I'm bad at not sleeping now because I sleep the earliest opportunity I get at any moment. I went to bed at 8:30 the other night. It was great. So that's where we're at. Oktoberfest, noon to noon, 25th to 26th. We've got a bunch of great guests lined up. Patrick Norton's coming back. Jeff Green's going to be here. The Gerstmann himself will arrive at some point in the morning on Saturday, I believe. Familiar faces, and we have some new folks coming too. So get ready. We'll have details on how to pledge early next week so we can get the money rolling. And like I said, we're doing 3 charities this year. People had asked for more than just one last year. So we're still doing Child's Play. Love Child's Play. They do great work bringing toys to kids in hospitals around the country and world. We're also adding the ability to pledge to Doctors Without Borders. They do great work, taking doctors to places where there are not typically, modern medicine, where modern medicine is difficult to come by.
What about Doctors Without Borderlands?
That's a different thing.
Okay.
That's people with funny voices, and there's a lot of guns. And then the other thing is the Electronic Frontier Foundation, who, if you've been following the site, you probably know what they do. But they kind of fight for internet freedom and, against oppression. So
Both really important causes.
they're both
for
good.
sure.
All 3 are great charities, and they fit the criteria of low overhead and
It's especially
and a
relevant
little
to
bit of
us,
money makes a difference.
given that the EFF just sent an attack against patent trolling for podcasting patents.
Yes. It's important for It's very self-serving. We're going to denote that money goes specifically to defending us in court. We're not going to do that. As before, the money, we don't touch the money. It's going to go straight through the service that we've set up.
I went to Tahoe this past weekend.
Really?
And I am back in the blackjack game. So if you want to donate,
Oh no.
for me to put on blackjack, I could quadruple the
Guaranteed.
donation.
It's
donation.
a guaranteed
There's
turn.
a system.
So what you need to do is
It's a riff off the MIT system.
you need to set up an Indiegogo for Norm Chan's blackjack fund proceeds to be donated to charity of your choice.
I play single deck.
Oh, you play single deck?
As
Don't they
long-
shuffle like every 3 times then?
With 5 people, I shuffle twice.
Oh, that's terrible. So much shuffling. If they play single deck, you know what cards are out there by the last hand.
Well,
Depends on how many people are playing.
it depends on where you're playing also.
Do you play multiple hands at once?
No.
Which you went to South Tahoe?
South Tahoe.
Okay.
Harvey's Casino.
I went to Guerneville this weekend.
What is a Guerneville?
Guerneville.
Is that Greenville?
No,
Did you go to Greenville?
It's Guerneville. It's in the mount. It's not in the mountains. It's on the Russian River Valley. So if you've ever tubed down the Russian River, which is a thing that I hear kids do these days,
Tubed on
other
lakes
rivers
and other rivers.
Yeah, it's the same as that. There's beer and you float down the lake and float down the river and usually you bring a tube for your cooler and then some creepy guy in a van picks you up and drives you back to your car at the end of the day. Everybody gets really sunburnt. It's too cold for that now, so it's a quiet, peaceful little mountain town, but it's not really in the mountains. It's like 500 feet. It was nice. We saw a quail. We saw some deer. Mountains. I saw crazy fog one morning. Like it poured in and then poured out. I wish I had the time-lapse thing for the camera so I could have taken pictures of that.
Can't get any of that here.
Nope. It's a different kind of fog. It's clean fog up there. It's not Carl. It's Bob. Bob, the northern fog. Norm, what was in South Lake Tahoe?
Oh, why
Gambling?
was I there?
Yeah.
The gambling was there. I was there for a friend's bachelor party.
Ah.
People are getting married.
It
Last
happens.
year when we did Oktobercast, these portraits weren't were barely up. I remember the reason being stressed out last
We
year
had
was
quite a rush.
waiting
Oh my God.
for FedEx home delivery to deliver all the frames, and then rushing in, and then framing, and then being only able to frame the 4 frames,
Yeah,
the 4 pictures to put up.
To
no,
be
we
clear,
we got them all in frames. But you didn't have
We
time
couldn't
to
nail 'em.
hang everything. It was the hour before the show started. Like,
yeah, literally at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sitting here going, "Where the fuck is everybody?" Joey was here, I was here, Gary wasn't here yet. Norm, you guys were waiting for frames or something.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know if. I just imagined it was gonna be me and Joey starting the show.
we were literally standing outside,
I drove around looking for the FedEx truck.
waiting for the FedEx truck to come around the block.
It all ended up okay. I don't think that was the debut of the new set too. We painted the wall maybe the week before.
The frames turned out really well.
The frames look great. They've decorated the wall for a year now. It's hard to believe. Should we talk about news? Anything else on Oktobercast? You just come watch the show. It's a good show. We sit down. The format is that we sit down and we'll talk to people for 45 minutes, each guest. Maybe roll some people over into the next segment if they want to stay and just kind of shoot the shit. It's all BS.
How many mics are you going to have set up max? 4, 5?
I'm going to ask Jeff if I can borrow his 4 mics too, which would then give us 8 mics total. I have to.
That's a lot of mics.
I haven't confirmed that. I'd asked him and then never followed up, so we'll see.
Having a few more for the guests that you want to keep around would be cool, though.
Yeah, it was good. I think last year we got kind of too. Well, okay. A couple of things we're not doing. We're not going to do auctions this year because they took a lot of time.
No auctions?
We're not going to do auctions
What?
because, as we found last year, many people complained because a lot of people listen to the show after it's done, and all of the time spent on auctions was both boring and made them kind of sad because a lot of them wished that they could have.
What about a silent auction?
That's what we did, isn't it? Or
We
would
don't
we
have to
run
pick
it
it.
until after the event?
You can
Anyway,
also, okay, all right.
well,
Right, sure.
okay.
Understood.
I don't know. I haven't gotten any stuff to give away yet either, so it would be difficult for us to do an auction. And then I think we'll take 10 minutes at the end of each segment to kind of talk about charities and stuff like that. Maybe take some questions from people on Skype or that people send in with comments when they make a pledge or something like that, and we'll have a little more structure. We're also, I know a lot of people are concerned because we said we're streaming on YouTube. We'll be streaming 720p on YouTube. We have an archiving system figured out for that. And then we're also going to experiment and see if we can maybe dual stream and send to Justin TV or Ustream or something like that at the same time, just because I know a lot of folks in, let's say, Germany and some other countries are completely blocked from YouTube streaming. So that's it. And then Mixler, assuming that stuff still works, we'll do that as well because people seem to like that, having an audio only stream that works on your phone if you're out and about. If you actually want to leave your house between October 25th at noon and October 26th at noon, you'll be able to take us with you. So that's it. That's Oktobercast.
No sacrifices.
Nothing. No stream left behind.
Will there be a schedule
I
for
don't.
guests, or is it going to be a surprise throughout the show?
So we've discussed this in the past. What I don't know if it's better to not let people know what's coming up so they keep watching, or if it's better to schedule stuff so that they come back for the high points. Because I feel like maybe if somebody knows that the person they're waiting for isn't on until 2 hours from now, they might leave their house, go get some Cheetos or Subway sandwich or something.
Tease it during the show. I'm just saying, will there be something?
I was
in
not planning on
advance?
posting in an advanced schedule. We have not done that in the past. If a lot of people ask for it, we probably will.
We'll give them a range.
We could do that.
The wee hours, quote unquote.
Yeah,
will be
well,
these people.
I mean, we know that some things are going to happen. We know that Jeff Green will be here on Saturday. We know that Jeff Gersman usually gets up early on Saturday morning and comes down to see how broken we are. We know that Patrick Norton brings donuts in the wee hours of the morning usually. I would assume that we will do Oculus horror in the darkest parts of night, to try to reach maximum scare.
okay. It is a week before Halloween.
It is a week before Halloween. I think that we
Are
should.
costumes encourage?
If you want to wear a costume, I strongly encourage it. You going to bust out the Dragon Con costume again, or you have something else planned?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet.
I don't think I'm going to wear the tuxedo this year, although that did feel kind of special. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. So that's Oktobercast next Friday. There's a post on the site if you want to know more, and we'll be telling people who the guests are early next week as we continue to confirm people. And if you have somebody you think would be a good guest, post a message, send us an email, Twitter message, whatever you think is good, and we'll reach out and see if we can get them. News.
Newsies. It's the Broadway hit of the year.
Is it a Broadway hit?
It is a Broadway hit.
You're suddenly a Broadway aficionado, Norm. This trip to New York has opened new doors of culture for you.
New York is a deep reservoir of culture. It's waiting in it.
Let's see. I'm going to start. These are not in any particular. Let's start with iPad event rumors because that's next Tuesday. It's 4 or 5 days away from now.
Okay. The event has been confirmed and the invites are out.
The invites say we have a lot to cover, which implies to me that there's going to be some sort of cover-related news.
Didn't they also say we have a lot more to talk about or something? Or was it just we have
a lot to cover?
The clever tagline
There's always a hint.
Is we have a lot to cover. And the only products that have covers on them in the Apple lineup are iPads. So
are you thinking
surprise,
a keyboard
iPads.
cover? Like what? What are they going to add to the fact that they've already made covers?
Right.
Big whoop.
Well, maybe they're going to do type
that's
covers
the idea.
and touch covers.
I don't think that and this is really inane to analyze. We have a lot to cover is less about the cover than the lot. What do they have to cover? Oh, new iPads.
Maybe there's the
I think it's
iLot.
as straightforward as that.
I don't
Maybe
think that's even wordplay. That's just
maybe Apple is opening a line of parking
we have
lots.
a lot to cover. Oh, what is that? What are you? Literally covering new iPads.
In the
There you go.
past,
It's covered in the sense of to talk about and also to physically put a cover on.
I will accept that if he pulls a sheet off of a table that has iPads on it.
what if they are opening a new line of parking lots, the iLots,
That
where
is
you
also
can pay with your cell
acceptable.
phone? In the past, they've done things like 1,000 songs in your pocket, change everything. Here we go again. And then they showed a picture of the jeans pocket, the little watch pocket on your jeans for the iPod Nano or Mini.
What was the iPad Mini event 1 year ago?
I'm skipping forward. Thankfully, Mashable has a gallery for this. I don't see the iPad Mini on this list.
I wonder how many of these taglines they go through before they narrow it down to the final one, because they know people are going to overanalyze it.
Oh, here last year's was we've got a little more to show you.
See,
So
a
little
little.
was the key word. I think that they've really started phoning it in. The old days they were much better. Okay, so presumably some sort of cover situation. The rumors are that the large iPad, the original iPad, will have a new mini style design, including thinner side bezels, the kind
Narrower bezels.
narrower bezels, but it's most obvious on the side. Like the distance between the edge of the screen and the edge of the iPad from the mock-up from the leaked photos looks much smaller than anything we've seen before.
Big enough for a thumb to sit there?
I do not think so. No, I don't know.
Unfortunate.
I don't know what they're thinking if they make this, unless it's miraculously less than a pound, which seems unlikely.
Okay.
The everything gets A7 or A7X. Typically, the X versions of processors are just clocked up a couple of hundred megahertz. So presumably that will be the same 64-bit processor as in the iPhone 5S. However, as I was talking to Anand a few weeks ago, he had concerns about the memory bus width in that A7X processor. It's a narrower memory bus than has been in previous iPad processors. So it's unclear how it will do with the increased number of pixels on a Retina iPad. Maybe color iPads, slate gray and silver. So skipping the gold on the iPad, probably a good move. But adding colors to the full size iPad.
Wait. The full size iPad already comes
For the
in.
metal, not just for the glass.
So you're talking like multiple SKUs in terms of black, white, and then the back?
No. I think the white one will have the silver back, and the black one will have the slate gray back. It's not a huge jump.
Yeah, because the silver right now is like right in the middle of that.
Yes. A mini Retina, presumably the quad resolution screen, same as the full size iPad, which will give it a much higher pixel density than I think anything else that they're selling right now. Also with an A7 or A7X. same body style as the current Gen Mini. This is an exciting product for me.
But
if it exists?
There are conflicting rumors, right, that it either will or will not have a Retina screen and update to the latest processor, or if it'll have like the A6. Instead of.
I mean, a lot of people are saying that past history has been that the Mini comes out with the year-old processor. I wonder, like, I think they released that and didn't know who was going to buy it last year.
Everyone.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is everybody I see, like I see business people carrying Minis because it's a friendlier size. It's a better size to carry.
So if they don't update the screen and the processor is just an incremental jump, it'll still be an okay tablet. But if they do the quad res and the A6 or A7X, that's going to be.
It's a no-brainer. I mean,
crazy.
Unless you're super price sensitive or already locked into Android.
They can't do parity between of tech specs between the full size and the Mini, and then also have the price gap.
Well, they can because it's a bigger screen.
I think
your 55-inch TV and your 60-inch TV have the same specs.
I think small size is a premium in terms of tablets.
They have not. That has not been the way things have been priced to date.
I think that in the mentality of Apple, and I think in consumers, you would pay. The idea if you gave someone the large one and the small one, I gave you those options at the same price, you would choose the smaller one, because of the increased convenience.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think realizing that, I think they're.
You think it's a $500 Mini?
I think that instead of pricing the Mini in the minds of consumers as the downgrade from the full size, I think there are two separate product lines. If you want to go full size, you have the full size full speed or full size
Mini
half speed, which is like the iPad 2, which is cheap and can be used in schools or at retailers. And then as a separate line is the Mini, which the advantage, and they're positioning it as an advantage, is the small size. And you have the full spec Mini and also the half spec Mini.
I don't. It wouldn't. I would be a little bit surprised if a Retina Mini comes out at the $330 price point. Although they're competing with the Nexus and the Kindle, which are both around $200, and are similarly spec'd machines. So I don't know. I mean, I think that I think the 7-inch tablet space is, from a business perspective, real tough for Apple. I kind of don't care. I'm fine with those machines being cheaper than they should be in a perfect Apple-y world. That's fine with me. But the other thing you touched on is that there is rumor that there will continue to be an original resolution 1024 by 768 Mini that presumably will be $200. I would think.
That has a higher price, or has faster processor.
Has a fast A6 rather than A5, which is needed right now.
So you think they're going to fork the Mini, make a Mini Lite and a Mini?
That's what I'm saying.
They may call it the original Mini or something like that.
Just like last year's Mini but upgraded. It's like the 5C model.
Well, no, it's more close. The closer analogy is the iPad 2.
Sure, but they didn't change the iPad 2.
Well, they did. They changed. It was a behind-the-scenes change, but they did a more efficient processor, so battery life got better on the later spins
cheaper
of
for
the
them
iPad
to
2.
make.
Yeah, I can't see them not going A6 on across the board. Even in the, it wouldn't even surprise me if they update the non-Retina iPad to an A6 because of the iOS 7 performance on the A5.
A non-Retina Mini, they could definitely charge $250 for that. Still a premium over something like the Nexus 7, but that would be very, very attractive.
Yeah, it's
a lot
for
of people
kids.
don't need the Retina screen on the Mini.
Well, especially depending on what the battery impact is of Retina on and A7 on a Mini.
It's $350, $250.
You think 350? I think something stays at 330. Anyway, we'll see next Tuesday. Also, presumably they'll talk about the Mavericks release. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks. It's in the GM is out for developers.
I'm really excited to see how it increases battery life on my laptop, which is 2 years old. So I don't have.
You have Sandy Bridge?
Yeah, so I don't have the Haswell, battery life bump.
Probably not much.
But they kind of played up their system idle technology. So
I turned on the power nap stuff, which lets you do background updates on things like your mail client and OS App Store apps that use the right APIs for push notifications and stuff like that. And it absolutely decimated standby time on my Ivy Bridge.
Yeah, I don't use
laptop.
any of that stuff.
So if you install Mavericks and all of a sudden your battery life goes to shit, go into power and turn that off.
I
and
have
it'll
like
fix it.
2 apps out of the App Store, and I use web Gmail on my laptop.
Right.
So
There you go. The Mac Pro presumably we'll see. It's unclear. I would assume a date for that because they still haven't said, hey, we're going to sell this thing. They've said, hey, we're planning to sell this thing, but they haven't said when, and I don't think they've told us what it's going to cost yet.
$5,000.
It's going to be expensive. Yeah, it's for people who have serious business. And then the other thing that still hasn't been updated is the Retina MacBook Pros. We haven't seen a Haswell update to that. They could just do a stealth update and update the App Store with that, but I'd assume that wouldn't surprise me if that gets trotted out on stage.
There was a rumor that came out last week that Apple would introduce a whole new line of MacBooks redesign, somewhere that would sit between a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro, and this is where you would get the small size Retina, and that would mean that you wouldn't get a Retina screen on the MacBook Air, which increasingly is less likely given the constraints and battery requirements and stuff like that of just the physics. But that you would have something a little thicker than the MacBook Air.
Isn't that kind of what the 13-inch Retina Pro is?
13-inch Pro is pretty heavy.
It's like a
Compared
pound
to
and a
an
half more than an Air,
Right.
than a 13-inch Air. It's definitely heavier than your Air,
So
than
I'm
the
saying
11-inch
that
Air.
something that's maybe a 11 or 12-inch ultra portable, but has a Retina screen and is less the clammy like angle design of the Air.
Haven't we seen
kind
some
of bringing back the white plastic MacBook, like
the tweener one?
the Spot? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of the student laptop. Like,
But the idea is that this
but
would be
Airs
a
just
way,
killed it.
the way to have that market, have a small laptop market, but not have to put the Retina in the Air and meet that challenge.
But I mean, aren't we seeing Ultrabooks on the PC side with quad resolution screens now?
Nothing the size of the Air.
Nothing's okay. So not like Samsung Series 9 or 7s haven't had that yet.
Not the 11 or 13 inch.
Okay. So there we go. Presumably, I don't know that they're going to do laptops during the iPad event. That seems like it's something they might not do. But and of course they'll let us know how the Apple stores around the world are doing. I bet the latest one is in Amsterdam.
What do you think about Apple hiring Burberry CEO?
It's the second fashion CEO or third fashion CEO in a row they've done for it's for retail, right?
It's for retail. It's to take the place of the guy who they let go,
JC
who
Penney.
ran after JCPenney, after Ron Johnson of JCPenney, who went to JCPenney. They hired the guy who to replace
him.
Ron Johnson was the guy who ran Dixon's. I think it was Computer Chain in
Right.
Canada or something.
Right, and he left when Forstall left, right, or thereabouts.
He was part of the Great Cleansing.
the cleansing. Yeah, I don't know that it matters. I feel like those stores don't like they change.
Absolutely matters.
No. I mean, I feel like that is a business that is established.
No, but it matters because of where the stores don't exist now, which is international markets. And I think that
Well,
the
that's true.
CEO, especially in terms of designing a retail experience, a luxury retail experience in overseas, which is what Apple considers itself, and the consumers considers Apple in places like Asia, having experience setting up luxury brands in Asia is a very, very important thing.
Okay,
So I think
Burberry.
It's
makes more sense than buying a computer than getting a computer store person to come in and do that job.
yes, absolutely.
Because I mean, the worst retail experiences in the world are computer stores. Who wants to go to CompUSA, guys?
I thought CompUSA was awesome when I was 11.
Yeah, it was great when you were 11. And
What did you go to CompUSA to do? Like, what did you do?
I remember my dad buying it. I'm pretty sure it was CompUSA. It could have been a Circuit City. But I remember us being on vacation and him us making a specific stop so that he could go buy his first digital camera.
Wow.
And I think it was like 1 megapixel,
Like a
1.3
Kodak that you put floppy
megapixel.
drives in?
It was, I don't know what it used for memory. It didn't use a floppy disk, but it
Compact
was
flash, probably.
maybe, and it was about
There were
8 inches wide. It looked kind of like a really shitty Leica sort of.
We had at my first job a Kodak digital camera that was either 0.6 or 1 megapixel. It was very, very low resolution. And you put a floppy disk in the side.
There was the digital camera that had
Yeah,
put a
he
floppy
didn't
disk.
buy the first digital camera. It was just
Right.
his first digital camera.
No, I know.
But it was probably within a couple years of them being on the market that a consumer could afford.
Norm, what was your first digital camera?
A Canon PowerShot, like
Like a point and shoot?
S200 or something,
Okay. Like
3
a
megapixel S300.
yeah, that was a good time to get in. Like my parents, my parents were here this weekend, and they're still using a Pentax that I got them probably 8 years ago. They keep buying new ones off of eBay because they know how to use it, and it's 3 megapixels, and it's a CCD, so it actually looks okay, but it's a little long in the tooth. Do we want to talk about Windows 8.1 because it is out today, I believe?
It is out right now.
Yeah, you could go get it even as we speak.
Yep.
Stop listening to this podcast. Go get Windows 8.1. It's a lot better. Any of you use Windows on a day-to-day basis? Do either of you have Windows 8 on your machine?
Windows 8?
Do you have Windows 8 on your machine?
Hell no.
Norm,
Nope,
you rolled
I
back,
rolled
didn't
back.
you? Yeah, I'm still running Windows 8 at home, so I'll put it on tonight. Maybe I don't know that it's worth doing a video of 8.1 because I think we've already done that even, didn't we?
Nope.
I thought we did a preview of the preview release.
So what did they do to try to merge the
There's a start
mouse
button now.
and touch? But it's not the start menu. It's just a start button.
Just
right?
a start button, but actually the start button is
I mean, that's good.
it's a pretty good thing, but it still doesn't, at least in the last beta that I used, it still doesn't show up in the place that you kind of really need it, which is when you're in a Metro app and you're not on a touch screen. So you don't know to go down there and click in that lower left-hand corner. But they did a bunch of other stuff too. There's they refreshed most of the core apps, so mail, music, all of that stuff has been updated. And I think that those improvements are probably pretty incremental, but at this point, incremental improvements on that stuff is a good thing. I want to say that they supported some of the new power management stuff that came with Haswell.
If you have Windows 8 right now, there's no reason not to upgrade to Windows 8.1.
That is absolutely true. If you have Windows 7
If
now,
you have
stay with Windows 7
right now, that's when you want to make the decision. So in terms of reviewing 8.1, the only people who should be reading a review are people who are not on Windows 8 at all.
If you've waited this long to go to Windows 8, just wait until Windows 9 comes out because it'll be another 18 months and hopefully it'll be better. Don't you think?
You don't think they're going to do an 8.2?
I'm sure they'll be typically in the past what they've done is one major service pack and then the next service packs are roll-ups of fixes.
The only purchasing decision you should be making right now with regards to 8.1, the only way 8.1 affects your purchasing decision is if you're buying a new laptop and
That's true.
It will come with 8.1 and your decision is then, do I stick with this? Am I okay with this? Or do I want to roll back and buy a licensed copy of 7 or an old copy of 7 that you have and roll back to 7? Or if that affects your buying of something like the Surface 2 or Surface 2 Pro, which you're stuck with 8.1.
The other thing that Windows 8.1 adds that I think is my favorite thing in the whole list is that Microsoft is taking over trackpad drivers, and that starts with 8.1, I believe. So I don't know what the hardware situation looks like on the stuff that's coming out for this holiday, but instead of having shitty trackpad drivers written by people who don't understand how human beings use computers, theoretically someone on their UI team at Microsoft is looking at how people use trackpads and making sure that things like multi-finger gestures and multi-finger taps and all that stuff work consistently from computer to computer, not just across brands and across trackpad types and all that.
That's good.
Which is just to be clear, the trackpad is why I started using Macs. You know, when I switched from PC laptops to Mac laptops, it was because the lack of pointing input on PC laptops was so disjointed and bad. So this is a good thing. More Microsoft stuff. What's his name? Major Nelson. I was going to say Colonel Taylor, but that's not right. Major Nelson demoed Xbox One, the Xbox One Friends app, which is the first time I think I'd seen. I know they've done some other stuff, but it was the first kind of deep dive I'd seen into an Xbox One app. And it showed how their friends list works. They're moving. Interestingly, I thought they're moving. This probably applies more to us than to normal people. They're moving the friends metaphor on Xbox to be more Twitter-like, so it's one to many rather than one to one. So you can you can follow me on Xbox and see what I'm playing if I make my stuff public. I don't necessarily have to follow you back in order for that stuff to turn on, which is probably a good thing. Assuming you're okay with people knowing that you watch Netflix.
Getting close to next gen console launch.
3 weeks for PS4.
All the TV ads are rolling out.
Speaking of next gen console launch, Watch Dogs was delayed until spring. So that was, I think, the number one thing I was looking forward to playing on next gen consoles.
That game was that the first game that was shown off kind of to be and clearly be a next gen game?
It was
because it was last year at E3 that they first showed that, right? And they wouldn't say like what it was going to be on.
They said Xbox, PC, and other platforms.
Right.
So yeah,
Was that shown off last year at E3?
That was on 2012 E3. Yeah.
I mean, it was that and the LucasArts
The
1313 game that they also said would not specify which console, and that's from the Kotaku report about the fall of LucasArts. Xbox next gen, Xbox or Microsoft and PlayStation were very angry about that.
That game going away?
No, about the developers showing that game and not saying.
This is for next gen platforms. Oh. The so the Watch Dogs thing, yeah, they showed it at E3 last year. I think I snuck in to see the demo during the day that we were at E3, and it looked really good. I mean, it's a neat kind of game. They said they needed more time for it, and they want to make it good. So they're holding it until I think even second quarter next year. So
guys, I've been holding a sneeze in for 40 minutes.
Go sneeze, Norm. It's fine.
The psychological toll of holding a sneeze.
We don't have it. Yeah, you don't break yourself. I just look at those launch lineups now. And there's not a ton, like it's kind of. I mean, launch lineups are always thin.
I think a lot of the good stuff is gonna. I mean, the PS4 is gonna have a lot of really good indie stuff. Not necessarily right at launch, but pretty much all of that you're gonna be able to get on PC too.
Right.
Which is why I'm not super pumped for the new consoles, just because the hardware is gonna be cool and they're gonna be great exclusives, but at launch.
I'm interested in the streaming stuff, kind of, but there's not a ton of stuff I really want to play on. Like, I'm not a Forza guy. The Final Instinct looks kind of neat, but like I don't know.
Wait, Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct. Sorry, I'm all over the place today.
Final Fight. Killer Instinct.
Not so much. I'm not.
Show for you guys.
Bloody Rage.
Out of Final Fight. Final Night's a whole different
Bloody
game.
Roar.
How long could you hold a sneeze in? I bet that would be a great Octobercast challenge.
It was hard to prompt a sneeze when we were doing those high-speed videos.
Shoving pepper up your nose did not work.
No, that just burned. It was really unpleasant. Made a lot of snot, but not so much sneezing.
Camera shy. You know the worst thing was in college trying to hold a cough in, or in high school.
In class?
If you try to hold like a cough in, like a coughing fit, you would just like get really red and choke. It sucked.
Why would you try to hold a coughing fit in?
Because you didn't want to cough out loud.
Did you not have water with you in class?
No, that was a good tip to have. Water was a good thing to have because it also kept you awake.
Yeah, water keeps you awake. So yeah, Watch Dogs is delayed.
As is Drive Club, I think.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's Sony's like.
I'm not sure if that's totally confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that it's delayed.
Seems like it. Yeah, the launch lineups are pretty thin. Like you said, the indie stuff on PS4, they're gonna. And if you haven't played stuff like Rogue Legacy and all that, I think that stuff's gonna be day one, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know how many of they had their great event at their E3 press conference where they got the like 10 indie devs like up there playing their games, but I don't know if any of those are going to be there at launch because most of those games are still in development.
Yeah, like The Witness is clearly not going to be a launch title.
Galaxy from 17-bit, like those games are coming out next year sometime, so they will probably be day and date on PS4, but that doesn't help the launch any.
What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about the? Did you watch the Steam controller demo?
Which one?
The one of them playing Portal with the cutout of the fingers on the pads.
The cutout?
They had in the video.
I saw the 5 minute. Oh yeah.
The
one
5 minute video Valve did.
and
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Civ 5 was the second part. So I thought the Portal part looked much better. So so the video was basically a shot of gameplay and a shot of somebody's hands on the new Steam controller, the one with the 2 touchpads. It looks kind of crazy, and it looked pretty good. The Portal part especially.
Like if you took away the cutout of the person with the gamepad, it would look more like someone playing with a keyboard and mouse than it would someone playing with a 360 gamepad.
And
because it's if you showed footage of someone who's playing with a 360 gamepad, you can tell they're playing with that because the motions are more like horizontal and vertical.
Yes.
Like it's not as fluid with someone playing with a mouse.
Sounds like something we should test.
They're moving around real quick, and this one was definitely more fluid. Obviously, they had gone through that demo many times.
But the impressive thing about that was they specified that at least with Portal, I think all the games they played, but with Portal, the controller was working in like legacy mode. In other words, Portal was not a game that they did not code in anything for the controller's support. So it was basically just mapped keyboard mouse controls
Okay.
for Portal.
So it was mapped keyboard mouse, not mimicking an Xbox gamepad.
Right, and
So-
not designed to control well for the Steam Pad. Like they didn't do anything
The
special.
left pad and then the right pad, one of those touch pads being mapped to mouse is relatively easy. It's like just like a touchpad, like a trackpad. But the right part being mapped to WASD, that was a more impressive thing.
Yeah, and it looked like you had lateral. It looked like it wasn't just a straight four corners, up, down, left, right. It looked like you were also getting, like the benefit of playing third person games with a gamepad is that you have analog movement on your left stick rather than using binary keys,
yeah,
D-pad.
I've never
essentially.
liked WSD for movement, especially compared to just having more
Right.
more freedom from an analog stick. But
mean-
obviously, you get so much from the mouse.
The way I've always looked at it with games like that is that you decide whether you want to have, like, stealth games work great with a gamepad because you can move the stick forward a little bit and go slowly. On a keyboard, you have to press a modifier key to get that same effect.
But you
and it
get
kind of
instant
sucks.
back and forth.
But you can
Instant
do
transition.
180 degrees very quickly and all that. So it's a trade. I thought the video looked interesting, and it kind of highlighted the fact that they're very clearly designing that controller to work with games that don't already work with gamepads.
The most surprising part of that video was the last demo, Papers, Please, which was only mouse, in which they use both touchpads to simulate a single cursor.
I couldn't figure out what was going on there.
It
Could
just
you
means-
see-
Yeah, so it's just
Like-
both touchpads would move one mouse, and so you can when you lift your finger up on one side, you're ready to move it with other side
Huh.
So it's a lot faster, basically.
or
Yeah,
smoother.
but it seemed like that would be a really weird thing to get used to.
I think their point was that it doesn't take much to get used to.
I've heard that with every single non-traditional controller I've ever seen. Hey
I think
guys,
that you think of it-
after a 20-minute acclimation period, this space orb is going to be as easy to use as your mouse and keyboard.
You think of it as having two trackballs to control a mouse, and your hand coordination between left and right hand is fluid enough such that you can control one thing with two trackballs.
So the only thing that concerned me about the whole thing is that that the fast movements that you were seeing with the right thumb for aiming seem like they aren't hard to do, but they're actually that's kind of not a good motion to do over a long period of time. If you've ever used a thumb trackball and tried to play games with that, then eventually bad things happen to your wrist and or thumb joints. So I wonder how much of that is going to apply here, or even will be a problem. The Civ 5 part I thought looked pretty good.
The issue with that, though, is unless that game or games like that get totally new user interfaces, you cannot play that on the couch and be able to see your cursor, in which case, why would you sit at your desk in front of your monitor with a Steam controller and play Civ that way? Like,
I think this is I can't imagine that you would ever say, oh, I'm going to use my Steam controller if the keyboard and mouse is in front of you and easy.
So even if the thing can emulate the mouse well, and I found Civ kind of unconvincing. I thought it looked okay, but it didn't. It looked like you had to put a lot more effort into being precise, with the mouse pointer.
Well, it was also telling that Civ is a turn-based game, so there's no time pressure at all on you with that. If you were trying to do something, the stuff they were doing in Civ in a more real-time game, it would be challenging.
And it definitely looked better than any RTS played with a controller. I mean, it was definitely good. I'm not sure if how good is the question. And then on top of that, how many games are going to completely rework their interfaces and make things really big so that you can play it from 10 feet away?
Yeah. So that was the Steam demo. Square this week rolled out a Square Cash, which is the ability to send money to any email address for no fee. So it's basically like PayPal. I think you have to hook up your debit card rather than your checking account.
I used this yesterday.
Norm
How
gave
did it
me
work?
$1.
I gave you $1, Wes.
I don't think I've gotten it
I
yet.
tested
I have
it.
to wait.
No, you got it.
Well, I got
Money's gone from my account.
I got the email, but it says it takes 1 to 2 days for it to appear in your account, which is pretty standard.
Square has made lots of inroads into retailers as a smart transaction mechanism for accepting credit cards. But I think they want to really get into the PayPal territory. When people send money to each other right now, they don't do Western Union anymore. They do PayPal.
I don't think Western Union exists anymore.
I think it still exists.
Really?
Maybe just in movies.
But PayPal has problems. I mean, there's
So-
customer service issues.
PayPal works really well for stuff like eBay,
I don't know. I don't even know if I'd say that.
it's easier to send money with PayPal if you have your PayPal tied to your bank account, checking account, because then you don't get fees and stuff like that. You have a history, and there's fraud protection.
Well,
so with eBay, if you're buying, whether you're a seller or buyer, PayPal is a big enough company that you can file a complaint and then you can get your money back.
They're also a big enough company to screw people over, and they can't do anything about it.
The problem is if you're a buyer, it's fine. If you're a seller, it's problematic because if somebody disputes your purchase or what you sold them, then basically the recourse is go fuck yourself.
No, you don't lose the money. PayPal ponies up the money.
I do not.
No,
believe that is the case.
Sellers get fucked over on eBay a lot.
That's why sellers don't sell to people with low or bad feedback. Of course, there's no way to give feedback from sellers to buyers anymore. Anyway,
so Square Cash is, I think, Square's way of moving into PayPal's territory of transactions. I mean, I don't think most people are using Bitcoin these days for buying stuff anyway. So the way it works is there's no website. You don't use a PayPal-like website. It's all through email. If you want to send money to someone,
you only use a website to sign up, basically.
Right. If I want to send money to Wes, I send an email to Wes, your Gmail account, or whatever email account, and I put the amount of money I want to send to you in the subject line, and I CC a website. I think it's cash@square.com or something.
If anybody wants to send me money,
send
my email address is just my name at Gmail. So
that's Wesley Fenlon at gmail.com.
Yeah, send me that Square money.
CC
WILL at tested.com is how you spell that, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if it's the first time either person in that transaction has used Square Cash, they get email from Square saying, which in Gmail actually went to my spam folder.
Great. That's where you want it.
Folder.
Mine did not.
And it says, it's receive or send money. You just got to go associate it with your debit card.
So okay, so at what point does the money change? Is it when you send the email or when Wes accepts it?
Wes has to accept it.
Okay.
Because in the email you click a link, and then if you already signed up,
so you get a couple emails. The first one is like someone wants to send you money, and then you have to sign up and accept it, and then you get another one that
says
it changes
you
from
got money.
A little purple card that says like someone wants to send you this amount,
Right.
and then it changes to a green one where
for sending it changes from a purple card to a blue card.
Yep.
So they're doing this for free, right?
It is free right now. There is a max because it can be anonymous. It's $250 a week, the most you can send.
What if it's not anonymous, though?
If you want to associate it with your Facebook account or put in your Social Security, last 4 digits of Social Security or a full name or something, a little bit of private info, then you get a max of $2,500 a week.
Okay.
The way they're going to make money on this is having either a subscription plan or a per exchange rate plan for international transfers.
Or probably they'll do free up to $250 and then start charging a fee beyond that or something like that, right?
International transactions is how they plan on making money.
So
but I think they want to get people stop using PayPal and then getting Square embedded in their brains.
That makes sense to me.
And there's not a lot of goodwill out there for PayPal.
No, people hate PayPal.
There's a lot of use of PayPal because it's what you use, but
I mean,
it's what you got.
Development cost for this is super low because there's no big website infrastructure. Downsides are you get no history of transaction, so you have to search your email.
There's no record on the site.
It's on your bank. There's no site.
There's no site.
There's no login. You're not creating an account.
So it works like TripIt. So you just send an email and you CC this email address,
and then
it knows that you're going to New York next week, and also I owe you $50.
The site is really just a page you go to and put in your info, and that's
the one time
all there is to it.
And in their database, they'll associate your info encrypted with your email address.
That's crazy.
And that's it. So there's no fraud protection. There's no complaints. Once money is sent, that's it. It's out of Square's hands. It's easy for them to set up because they have deals with banks, all the major banks for Square, and banks typically don't charge a fee to do debit transactions anyway.
It's a good. I mean, it has good potential for like people who do buy, sell, trade stuff on forums and communities and stuff like that, where they usually go through PayPal, and you have the option to either send money as a gift to someone, and then PayPal doesn't take a cut out of that. Obviously, you don't have the buyer or seller protection from that. Or you can go the seller method for transfer of goods and services.
I would not recommend this for anything but gifts.
It's
you get no protection.
It has to be based on trust completely.
Yes.
But if you are like in a small isolated community whatever. If you're transferring money with someone that you think is on the level, it's a very easy way to do that.
So okay, so then what happens if your email address gets hijacked? Doesn't that mean that person, like the first thing somebody does when they take over somebody's Gmail account is going to be to send themselves $1,500 or $250 via one email message?
Yep.
So turn on two-factor if you use this.
Yeah, protect your email account.
Yeah, that's good advice just in general, I guess. I wonder if is there fraud protection at all that comes with this, or
Nope.
since it's free, it's buyer beware?
Buyer beware.
Okay, buyer beware, guys. HTC is going to make Amazon phones, is the current rumor.
HTC needs a win.
HTC needs to make something that, I mean, Norm's phone's nice.
Yeah, but it's not
selling that
not
well.
making them big money.
At least not compared to how much money they put into it.
Right.
There's HTC Max.
Or compared to anything Samsung makes.
Yeah. The other rumor that came along with that is that maybe those phones will only be available to Prime members, but they won't be free. So it's like a Prime super phone or something like that. I don't know exactly what Amazon's phone model is.
Why would they? That doesn't really make any sense.
Oh, there's a lot that doesn't make sense
to
there.
only make it available. Why would they limit the people who could buy the phone?
What is the advantage of Amazon
unless it's
having
so
a phone?
heavily subsidized that they can only take that hit, selling it to a certain number of people? But that seems dumb to me.
There was a lot of, I don't understand Amazon phones.
So Amazon, Google having a phone makes a lot of sense. 'Cause
Yeah.
They want your information, and originally we thought Android was going to be just so they could give you display ads and get more people using mobile web. But no, Android is a way for them to get personal information, for them to power Google Now and their knowledge graph.
Yes. And also sell ads, just
And
to be
also,
clear.
but I don't think mobile ads are such a small part.
Mobile search ads.
They're making more money on mobile search ads with
iPhone?
on iPhone than,
Yeah, that's
than
probably true.
Android anyway. What is the advantage? Android or Amazon making tablets makes sense.
Yeah. Content consumption.
Because the people are reading stuff and they are selling ebooks.
Arguably, Amazon's the only one making money on subsidized tablets at this point.
So what is the advantage of Amazon from a business standpoint selling a phone?
I don't understand that at all.
What is the phone user experience that would be beneficial to?
Because here's the thing: I already have an Amazon Video and Kindle app on my iPhone. Actually, I don't have a video app on my iPhone because I don't really watch video. But if I was
And
theoretically
shopping,
the
both.
kind of consumer who watched video on his phone, I would have that instant video app. I do have an Amazon shopping app, so that's already there, and I have a Kindle app. Those are the things I use my phone for that involve Amazon. So I don't know, unless they're going to get into phone services or do internet telephony or something like that. I don't understand what their play is here, unless they just think that they can enhancing that ecosystem. They could be looking at the Lawrence Lessig platform and saying, "Look, we have a platform. If we
building that
build out
Kindle
that
brand."
platform, it's going to make it more valuable for us in the long run." I don't know.
I mean, if they already have, they're kind of establishing Kindle as the Kindle Fire anyway, as like, this is our skinned user experience. You can do all this stuff easily, blah blah. Amazon integration. I don't know, why not put that in a phone?
I'm sure there are
Because
people out there.
integration makes sense on a tablet when the things you're doing on the tablet are directly tied to Prime services.
Maybe they want that same experience to make sense to people on a phone too. Maybe they think they can sell that to mom and dads who like the easy in and the media consumption. I mean, phones are big enough for that. Like, you have your 5-inch phone screen, people will watch movies and stuff on that too.
Well, and the instant video help, like that is a feature that would drive people who are scared of technology to buying that phone. Like, you can hit the button and you get the help from a human being on the other end of the line. You see their picture and they don't have a weird accent or whatever. My parents are into that kind of shit. I don't know, and I don't know why you would buy an Amazon phone. But maybe people will.
Why would you buy a Facebook phone? I mean,
I don't think anybody bought a Facebook phone. I think that worked out right.
Well, they didn't actually make.
They have made Facebook phones in the past.
There was the HTC.
Yes.
But that was kind of.
It had a button.
It had a button.
Yeah.
And I don't think Facebook was totally.
They weren't committed to mobile at that
thrilled
point.
with it either.
What about the phone with the Facebook skin?
The Facebook Home phone.
Facebook Home, yeah.
Facebook Phone Home.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that.
That just came out few months ago.
Yeah, you're talking about the HTC phone with the physical Facebook
right.
phone. That was like ages ago,
Yeah,
a lifetime ago.
And it was totally.
It was a disaster.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Complete shit show. The thing I wonder is if maybe they're thinking by making their own phone, they can apply pressure to other people to pre-bundle their stuff. But that seems like a really expensive way to go about that, when they could probably just say, hey, Samsung, we'll give you some millions of dollars to put the Amazon app on the phone. I don't know. I don't understand Amazon making a phone.
So maybe they won't.
Maybe they won't. Nike debuted their FuelBand SE this week. It's the main update that I saw was that it's Bluetooth 4.0.
Does it stand for special edition?
Second edition, maybe super edition, strapping edition, strong edition, strontium edition.
Also comes in colors.
Well, but it doesn't really come in colors. The inside of it comes in colors, and the outside is still the same color.
That's
it looks
bullshit.
like. Well, you can kind of see hints, I think, when it's on your wrist. It's subtle. It also has a clock now, which seems like a good thing.
It always had a clock.
I think the clock is maybe on more. It's unclear. I haven't tested it yet. The Bluetooth 4.0 thing seems good because that means it'll use less power communicating back to the phone, which theoretically means you won't have to charge it as much. But it's the same design with the snap-out USB port and all that stuff.
I think it's going to be kind of funny if the smartwatch burgeoning market, if you can even call it a market, gets just eaten up by exercise
watches.
bands. Yeah.
I think there are more people that are into smartwatches that are into exercise bands, but I could be wrong.
Really?
I don't know.
At the amount that they cost and what they give you, I mean.
Well, what does the exercise band cost? $150 max, probably.
Yeah, 100 to 150.
And a smartwatch is going to start at $200.
I mean, how much does the Samsung one cost? Like $350 or something?
$300, $350. Yeah.
It's a lot of money for a ugly watch.
It is a lot of money for an ugly watch. I could get a real nice looking watch for $350.
Yeah.
Get a Fossil or a Casio. There's still no Android app for the Nike stuff, so I guess Apple still has a relationship with Nike, which seems a little crazy. Cast AR Kickstarter went live on Monday, and then they funded like 36 hours later or something like that. They came by the office and demoed.
56 hours later.
56. Yeah, they demoed the stuff that they were showing at World Maker Faire. I hadn't gotten to see that yet, but it's amazing how far that thing has come in the 6 months since Bay Area Maker Faire.
For people who haven't seen the video, do you want to explain what Cast AR is?
Cast AR is an augmented reality system that uses a special pair of shutter glasses with a projector above each eye and a camera, an infrared camera that you can use to track your position, your head's position in space, both on the 3 axes and lateral movement as well. And then what you do is you aim those glasses at a surface. It's a special surface. It's what you call it, a transflective surface?
It's retro reflective.
So which means that it basically, no matter where you're shining light at it from, it reflects back at you. So it's like the stuff on your sneakers that shines when the headlights come at you, or license plates or road signs are the same kind of materials. And you can buy the cloth for a couple of bucks a yard or something like that. It's not terribly expensive.
So it's very directional.
Very directional. And the upshot is, when you look at this surface with the glasses on, it will project a 3D representation of whatever it is you want to see, whether it's a game or a 3D model or something like that, CAD, whatever. You'll be able to see that. And the neat thing is, because of the way the shutter glasses work and the way the computer controls all aspects of the system, more than one person can look at the same object in the same shared space. So the science fiction analogy isn't Minority Report in this case. It is the hollow chess from the original Star Wars, Let the Wookiee Win, or the Death Star hologram from Return of the Jedi, where they're showing the weakness in the structural plan and where the Endor moon is and all that stuff. So it's pretty neat. Like, it's one of those things you kind of have to see in person to appreciate. But I was really impressed with when we saw it at Maker Faire in the Bay Area. It was a little bit dim. Like, even in a real dark room, you kind of had to squint, and it was hard to see, especially if there were lights around. It worked in our studio with studio lights on the other day, and I was very surprised. And then they were also showing the prototypes of the newer glasses, which will have much, much smaller Pico projectors.
And are those the ones that you'll get from the Kickstarter?
The Kickstarter targets are the new Pico projectors with 720p, but all the increasing pixel density does is allow them to put different lenses on the actual Pico projectors themselves, so you get a wider field of view. With the current prototype, which is 640-480, it's a 45-degree field of view. So even though you're looking at a big canvas, because you can put as much of the retroreflective material as you want on any surface, the demos they're doing right now are this it's like a canvasy flat surface, like a it's like a photo studio where you have a wall,
psych wall,
and the horizontal surface, but you can plaster as much as you want on walls, on ceilings. You can you can have one hanging in the middle of the room or something.
So holodeck.
Yeah, I mean that's the phrase they're using. But even though you're looking at as much canvas as you can put on a room, what you're only seeing is as much as the projector can project. So with the current demo, there's a very limited horizontal and vertical edge. Is it fill your entire field of view?
I thought the horizontal was okay. I thought the vertical was a little narrow.
So you can see the top and bottoms being cut off, but left and right, it's fine. But with the new one, they're expanding horizontal more to 60 degrees as opposed to 45 degrees, so you can actually move your eyes around and look around. I think they still need stronger light. There is an optimal distance for the reflectivity, because if you're imagine yourself in a room like even like a normal 10 by 10 by 10 foot room, and you have the retroreflective material over the rooms, your maximum distance is going to be about 10 feet, and these projectors aren't going to be powerful enough to project 10 feet and then back and be bright enough to be as bright as like a monitor.
Well, so when Jerry was holding that scrap of material about 8 feet away in a semi-dark room, it was visible.
8 feet away where?
When I was standing over here and she was standing over there. That's six to eight.
Yeah, it's about 6 feet.
She got back almost to the MakerBot. It sounded like it was bright enough to see, but it wasn't bright enough that you would want to do something at length with that. But I mean, the Pico projectors that they're using use LCOS, liquid crystalline silicon, right? Emitters, which aren't particularly bright right now, and they're kind of like, I think this is the first thing I've ever seen that actually used those in the real world. So we'll see. I mean, I would expect it to move forward with speed if they sell a lot of these.
Just like with the Oculus Rift,
Yeah.
this is something that we can imagine 3-4 years down the line as they get better access to maybe proprietary projectors, or just those technologies getting cheaper and better and faster and smaller than it being something more practical. I don't think that the version 1 is going to make sense for a holodeck. The version 1 is going to make sense for a board game,
which
or
is still
a widescreen game.
Still pretty awesome.
Yeah, it
Which
would be
is-
great
which
to
is
play
cool.
board games with people across the country.
And the real great thing is that you can get as many people as you want wearing these glasses, literally as many people surrounding the board game, and each person will see a different image depending on computing power.
Well, it sees their own view of the scene,
So,
theoretically.
So the game engine, it's so little data to process per glasses that you could have 5 people each seeing a different perspective of the same scene.
Do we want to talk about BlackBerry for a minute? RIM? I guess BlackBerry now. They released an open letter and basically said, hey guys, we're still here. We don't owe anything, and we're not spending a lot of money, and we have some cash, so we're going to be here for a while. If you still have your BlackBerry and you like it, hold the line. We're coming back. It's going to be a hard road, but we're going to do it. So that happened.
Okay. Good luck to them.
Yeah. Sonos unveiled the Play 1. So this, I assume, it follows their naming scheme of the Play 3 and Play 5, which are their mid-size and large Sonos-only streaming speakers.
Oh, we saw it yesterday.
Sound good? You couldn't tell because you were in a big hall. But it's tiny, right? It's like the size of an iPhone?
No. It was like that big.
So it's like the size of an iPad.
Not quite that large, but
It's like the size
like a
of the
tall
Bowers
boy
Wilkins.
of beer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. It's kind of expensive for that. It's $200, which
I
is
think
like
all
the
these
same price as
premium
a
streaming
Jambox.
things are expensive.
Yeah.
Speakers.
But it only hooks into Sonos stuff. So if you have a Sonos ecosystem in your house already, you can hook in with that, right?
That's all they're selling these for.
Right.
I mean, I think audio technology is way overpriced. The margins are very high
You don't say.
for headphones and speakers.
Okay.
But Sonos' stuff sounds good.
Yeah, the streaming is rock solid.
I assume this one probably sounds good as well. I don't know what the difference would be between the 1 and the 3 in terms of volume and.
Well, the 3's pretty big. It's like the size of like a rear channel in a stereo.
Yeah.
But
And all it does is allow you not to have the receiver and plugging your own speakers. It's just one box. For
well, so
both.
so that's what all the Plays are. They're standalone boxes and receivers, and I think they also all have line-ins. I don't know if the one does, But so you can plug in like an iPod or something like that and stream from one speaker to another one in the house using the same, using their proprietary streaming stuff. So that's this. It's $200. It's basically their whole marketing thing that I saw was you'd have to go on a lot of picnics to justify getting a jam box instead of one of these. But in order to hook this up into your network so that it connects to the, because they don't have Wi-Fi, so you need to plug at least one of them into an Ethernet port someplace.
You gotta have a lot of rooms in your house to justify getting one of these.
That is also well.
If you already invest in Sonos ecosystem, you
Yeah, it's a
likely
no-brainer.
have. No, if you already invested, you already have like at least one or at least two speakers.
Well,
so
I know
this only appeals for people who have more than 3 rooms.
Well, so one of the things you can do with the other Play speakers, and I assume you can do that with this as well, is you can pair up multiples and set them as like stereo pairs. So you can make 2 of these a left and one of the others a right or something like that. One of the other things that's nice about the speaker integrated ones rather than the ones that you put in the ceiling and walls, which is what they started out doing built-in installs with amplifiers in a box that you hook into like ceiling mount speakers, so you have ambient music all through your house. The nice thing about these is you can pick them up and take them, like if you have a picnic and have people over, you can put them in the backyard or something like that.
I'm surprised there haven't been any Kickstarter. Maybe there are, and I'd love to know about them. Any Kickstarted alternative to Sonos that are maybe open source or maybe just a cheaper alternative. And maybe it's hardware that is just the satellites that you plug your own speakers into. But getting into the Sonos ecosystem is not cheap, and seems like a right place for someone to create some cheap hardware.
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't have one of these speakers where you have an Ethernet port, then in order to get them to work, you have to buy another thing that's like $100 that you plug in. That's just the network endpoint for the Sonos system. So it's a little weird. It's a neat mesh network. I think they use like a variant of 802.11a, so it's all custom and proprietary and stuff. But the music passes across, and the thing that they've always staked their claim on is that it'll sync up between multiple rooms, even if you listen to really long stuff like podcasts or classical music without getting out of drifting over a period of 20 or 30 minutes. The Peachy 3D printer is on this list. I have not seen this.
This is a $100 3D printer.
That's crazy.
But what $100 3D printers I've seen, I mean, there have been a couple really cheap ones. What's interesting about this, and this is I think it's a Canadian Kickstarter, so it's on CADs, which
Kickstarter.eh.
But it's photolithography.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're buying some sort of syrup from them?
Resin. Yep. It's
Okay.
So photolithography is unlike SLS. It's what the Form 1 uses. It's using lasers to cure resin as it rises from a platform.
Yeah. So SLS uses lasers to melt plastic in the right place. And then our additive printers just melt plastic and poop it out onto the model.
And photolithography shoots lasers on a reservoir of resin at very specific places, and as the pool recedes, the parts that are cured stay solid, and then it kind of emerges from the resin.
You lift it out, basically.
Yeah. So
how are they doing this? Is this like a buy the razors, get the free razor, get by the blades kind of situation?
No, the whole system looks really, and the reason it's worth noting is because a lot of people have jumped on the Peachy printer because of the price. I mean, it's $100 for this idea of a.
That sounds great. I'm going to go buy one right now.
Here's why you should maybe not buy one right now.
How much is the resin going to cost?
I don't think it's more about the resin. First of all, delivery is not for a year.
That's a long time. Actually, a year isn't. I would say a year is probably about average for complex hardware.
And
I was surprised that the Sansera was delivering in a month or 2.
I think a year is a long time, and by then, if you're really serious about something like this, that $100 might be better spent on a more like proven 3D printer.
Yeah, but $100 is like gambling money. That's
Not
5
for a
hands
lot
of
of people.
blackjack, Norm.
That's 3 hands of blackjack.
Okay.
Whoa.
High roller.
You got to double sometimes. You got to factor that in.
Okay.
So it doesn't look nearly as polished as a Form 1. You build it yourself, obviously. It doesn't come pre-assembled at that price. There's a single laser, works with mirrors, and it's weird because the signal is sent from your computer via the audio jack. So it's audio signals that are converted, audio analog signals that are converted that are processed to direct the laser, and then they use like the resin sits on a pool of salt water.
Okay.
And the salt water drains, and that's what recedes the resin.
That's crazy.
it looks like something that is not very easy to use, and even their test prints don't look very detailed.
But you can print from a smartphone app. Yeah, the test prints look a little rough for photolithography.
I think this looks like a proof of concept that they're selling for $100. If you will want to, it's like, aha, it works once, but I don't think it's
they'll
something
figure it
that-
out.
No, I don't think they'll figure it out. I think it's proof of concept.
Like I'm looking at this Dave resin, the print of the word Dave, and it looks like there's even some skippage from layer to layer on the lithography, which I mean, there's no reason for.
It seems like, oh, we can do it. It kind of works. but
Also, they don't have a hood over the laser, which if it's an IR UV laser, you probably don't want that blasting around
very,
your
very
house.
lo-fi. I think the people who are paying $100, if they can part with it,
I
great.
mean, yeah,
But I don't think it's something they're going to use on a regular basis.
There you go.
90% of the people who buy this are going to use it on a regular basis.
yeah, and the thing is, like, if you're in the $100 range for a 3D printer, there's $400 and $500 options that are quite good. That's the you know
They're
that's
reliable and usable.
and based on you can go out and get, maybe not tomorrow, but within a couple of weeks. So anyway, Norm, the Sony unveiled the full frame A7
This is a big deal.
cameras. Why is it a big deal?
It's a big deal because this is the first full-frame mirrorless camera on the market.
So it is a mirrorless camera, just like the NEX is. Does it use the same lens mount?
Uses the E mount, so you're okay. So
You take a step back. Sorry.
Let's set up the landscape. Right now, there are many categories of cameras. You have DSLRs, which have the flipping mirror. That's
Yep.
why it's a single lens reflex. And within DSLRs, the big makers are Canon and Nikon.
Right.
And within their lines, they have full frame cameras and entry level APS-C cameras, which are smaller sensor size and full frame. But the entry to full frame prior to about a year ago was about $2,500, $3,000.
And full frame just means that it is the sensor is the physical size as a piece of 35 millimeter film,
It is
right?
the equivalent of a 35 millimeter sensor size.
Okay.
Yes, 35 millimeters in terms of area. And a year ago, both Canon and Nikon introduced what they called affordable full frame cameras in the form of the D600 and the 6D. That's the one I have, and that was around $2,000, which for full frame at that point very very attractive, a little over $2,000. But they're still DSLRs, which a lot of people love. More people are buying mirrorless cameras now, whether it's Micro Four Thirds or APS-C ones from Samsung or Sony, and those are also very popular.
And Sony has been cranking out the models
Cranking
like
out the models,
crazy.
Yeah, they know it is a growth market for them because point and shoots are dying. Sony also has a bunch of compact cameras, so they have the RX100, which is now the RX100 Mark II, which is like their point and shoot killer. You can't change the lens on that, but it has a 1-inch sensor that's pretty nice. And also the RX1, which is a $2,800 full frame camera, beloved by a lot of photographers, but also you can't change the lens on that.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the RX1 in the sense that it's compact, not the size of a DSLR, but you can change the lenses on it. And the big deal is that it's full frame and also uses the E-mount lens that is in Sony's NEX cameras. There are two models. It's the A7, the Alpha 7, the A7R, and they're both around $2,000. I think the lower end one is actually, I want to say, what was the price?
Do they have like the features that are common to full frame cameras from Canon and Nikon, like multi-focus points and all that stuff?
So the advantages of a DSLR over a mirrorless camera, and when I say mirrorless, it just means that there's no flipping prism. What you see on the LCD, there's only an LCD view or an EVF, electronic viewfinder, is exactly what the sensor sees. It's not light; it's light being processed and then displayed on LCD. The focusing on those are mostly contrast-based autofocus, with some sensors having phase detect autofocus. The A7, the lower end one, which the body I think is $1,700, that has the hybrid autofocus, which is both contrast and phase, and then the high end one, which is $2,300 for body only, has a higher megapixel count. That one is contrast only.
Okay.
So it's actually a worse autofocus system, but Sony says it's very fast. I don't know whether these will be good cameras.
We'll
I think,
see.
I think a lot of people will who have E-mount lenses and they need to use a new full frame E-mount lenses. They're FE
So-
opposed to EF. I think that it is a huge investment to buy into these cameras and buy new lenses. So
Especially since you won't be able to, if you use adapters or something, you won't be able to do metering or focus.
no, there are smart adapters.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting that they're getting in, that they're going this direction rather than, they're building up from the lower end cameras into the high end, where Nikon and Canon have kind of been building down from the high end into the mid range.
I think that they know that people understand their NEX line and are and like it, and it's well reviewed. And while some people love their A line and they'll continue to do the A line of cameras, growing from the NEX as opposed to coming down from the A line is a smarter move for them.
The interesting thing about this is that the lens, even 3-4 years into NEX cameras now, the lens ecosystem is still there's still some pretty big gaps in
I don't think
what's
people who have those
available.
cameras buy more than at most 2 lenses.
They buy they get the 18-55 kit lens and then maybe get like a 25 millimeter or something like that fixed frame probably. Or do you think that, because they're not buying
Prime?
telephotos? Yeah.
There are some telephoto ones, but like a 28-70 or they have the 200 up to 200 millimeter. But
Yeah.
I think most people who have those cameras either you get an adapter and put Canon lenses on them, or buy at most one good prime lens.
That makes sense. What else do we have on the list? Let's see. Felix Baumgartner. You remember Felix?
1 year ago.
1 year ago, he jumped out of a weather balloon from 100,000 feet, 200,000
Can't believe
feet.
it's been that long already.
I know.
Yeah, and he parachuted from the edge of space, is what Red Bull said. It was the stratosphere, whatever. It was a terrifying jump. Red Bull and Felix released the footage, like the GoPro cam footage from his body, showing the plummet, and it was every bit as terrifying as you would expect.
Was it GoPro? Did they confirm?
I don't think it was GoPro. I don't think they said who it was. I don't think they had sponsorship.
A little bit of controversy with that is that at that height, yes, you are very high up, and you are maybe technically at the edge of space, but you can't see the Earth curve, and it was all lens tricks.
Oh, that was all just because it was wide angle?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sad now.
You cannot see the Earth curve at that height, at that altitude.
Because what was it, 100,000 feet? Or thereabouts, 120?
Something like that. I mean, the bigger deal was the speed at which he was falling, less the altitude. The altitude was yes, a big deal, but it was more about breaking the sound barrier.
Well, and because the air is so thin up there, the sound barrier is slower, right?
Yes.
So the density and humidity of the air affect the speed of sound.
So he was shooting for 2 records, and he didn't break both of them.
He
right?
didn't do
Like-
duration.
Okay.
He let the previous guy,
Not Henry Kissinger. Scott something.
No, I think it was still Kissinger.
Anyway.
Kittinger.
That's it. It was a terrifying jump. It looked. I don't often watch those videos, but there were moments when he started tumbling that you just thought, oh, I know how this ends, but I don't know how he stayed conscious during this kind of flat, horrible-looking flat spin.
I would say it was a highly successful marketing effort on Red Bull part.
Well, that's what Red Bull does. Speaking of real space stuff, SpaceX did their what should be the final Grasshopper 1.0 flight. This is the thing that the rocket they built to test soft landings with Dragon capsules, I assume, and they went up to 700 meters ish above. They went actually above the hexacopter that they've been shooting those videos with. The rocket took off and then came back down and landed back on the pad again. I presume that the cows were upset once more, but apparently that test bed is done, assuming nothing happens, and that's the end of the first version of the Grasshopper, and we'll be moving forward with something else now.
All right.
And then the last thing on the list is that Double Fine rolled out Space-Base DF9, which is a Dwarf Fortress in space game. We talked about Rimmed Capsule a few months ago, I guess now. It's like that, but really fully fledged. And I think it came out of one of their Amnesia Fortnite Kickstarter or Humble bundles. So it was like a prototype that they did during a two-week Amnesia Fortnite. And I put it on my laptop 2 nights ago and laid in bed and played for like 2 hours. It's not a lot of game there yet, but what is pretty neat if
And they're
you
still
like that kind of game.
working on it very actively.
Yeah, I think it's a Steam Greenlight early access. I don't even know what that the game situation on PC is such that there's Greenlight games, there's early access games, there's advanced beta games.
It's either alpha
don't even
or
know.
pre-alpha.
This
now.
one's alpha, but they're updating it every day. It seems like you get a little thing that says, "Oh, hey, today we have this," and it's added, and all those bugs that were there yesterday are gone. And I think they had a deal for people who were previous Double Fine Steam game purchasers if you bought it on Steam. So that's it. We unveiled the Inventor semi-finalists this week. 10 makers of things. We tried to get a good mix of people with skills that kind of showcased what Adam was looking for in his ideal candidate. So people who can make things, and really more than anything else, we were looking for people that showed either extreme aptitude with one type of material or high levels of aptitude with multiple kinds of materials. So we had people who worked with did everything from building rally cars to making stuff out of cardboard to hard edge model making to carpentry. It's a real good mix of semifinalists. The video's up on the site now, so you can watch that.
And like we talked about in the earlier videos, we were looking for people who showed some problem solving in their submissions. So people who talked about how they taught themselves skills, how they approach learning new skills, and in specifically when they were showcasing a product or one of their projects, how they solved the problem in making that project.
Yeah, we shouldn't. I especially liked the guys who made spacesuits out of stuff from Home Depot. They took, I think, canvas or muslin or something and covered it with epoxy and then painted it to make a very convincing looking, like hard shell, like analog to today's the spacesuits that are on the space station. So a lot of really cool work. You should definitely check out the video. We'll have more from Inventor and stuff next week.
And we also talked about the
home challenge.
The home challenge.
It's a challenge that you do at home.
So we sent out care packages for all these 10 of these people. And in the box, they got...
What's in the box, Norm?
15 sheets of cardboard, 8.5 by 11, a knife, cutting mat, some masking tape, and some glue. And they are challenged with creating a 1-to-1 scale replica of anything they have in their house.
I think. I
think that those are very limited constraints.
I think they can use the box too.
They can use the box for material, but it's not a whole lot of material. And we've clarified with them what tools they can use. They can't use any power tools. And
they can use a straight edge. We forgot to put a straight edge in.
Sure, they can use straight edge and scissors and stuff like that. But the idea is that using these constraints, how do you solve a problem of creating something that's very accurate?
Right. Well, and it also hooked in, Adam, we talked to Adam at length about what the challenge should be. And he has been adamant over the year and a half that we've been working with him that cardboard is a great place to learn to start with making stuff. And it's a great material for for making cool stuff. So I can't wait to see what people come back with.
Did you guys ever have to do cardboard builds of any kind in class in high school?
Like dioramas? We had diorama-rama.
No, so I took some general, I can't even remember what it was called anymore, but it was kind of general, learning how electronics work a little bit and how structural mechanics work and stuff like that. Kind of a shop class, but not really. And one of the projects we had to do was build something, basically a bridge, but basically something to put between two tables and had to support a certain amount of weight. And you would get points just for building it, and the requirements were you could only use a certain amount of cardboard or other paper,
popsicle sticks or something like that.
Something paper or not real wood, but basically paper based, and a certain amount of glue or tape or whatever. And I made some crappy cardboard thing that didn't hold up very well. One of my friends got about 10 pieces of construction paper, rolled them up in a tube, soaked it with epoxy, and made basically a nightstick that you could kill someone with. It was indestructible.
It glues real hard.
Yeah.
We did the thing where you drop eggs off of the roof of a building. There was this hallway that was suspended over a center light well in my school, and it was like a 35 or 40 foot drop into the the rocks.
Protected egg carton.
The egg drop, you had to build a little spaceship for your basically.
Yeah.
Did they combine
capsule.
that with the home? I guess there were home ec classes where you pair up with someone and you take care of an egg as if it's a child.
No, we didn't do that one.
So you know what that is, right?
Yeah, you had to love and cherish your egg. Did you do that?
No, but I'm saying I only know that from television shows.
Oh, you learned that from Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell or Boy Meets World or one of those shows. But that challenge at home, at that class, should have led into the building the protective spaceship and use the same egg. So you
keep it for
you
a
nourish
month.
the egg for a month, you bond with it, and then you build the spaceship. And
I think
That would really encourage you to build a good spaceship.
I think they
right.
did sacks of flour
it
for
would
us.
be the Jorel experience.
You didn't use an egg?
I don't think. No. I mean, for the baby
Sacks
thing.
of flour?
I think you carried a sack of flour and you put like a little face on it. I wasn't in that class,
Wow.
but
I think I didn't
Man,
take
your sack of flour.
well, it was
Sure
the right
looks-
weight. Is the thing? It's a 10-pound sack of flour.
I didn't take that class, but I think we had the real babies that just made
Ooh.
the super annoying they would
Upscale.
just- yeah. Not my department.
Is that's like an outdated?
That's the thing. That
Way to
was
teach.
to scare people into not having teen pregnancies.
I mean, I had plenty of kids in my high school who
Oh, yeah.
who were moms and dads, so
Kids would just
They're like, you're taking care of an egg. I got a real baby.
Yeah.
see. I'm a little older than you, so
they
kids would just
usually-
disappear.
Yeah, they usually dropped out.
Yeah, like they
They come to school with their babies.
she transferred to Sullivan South.
I entered high school with a class of like 450
Uh-huh.
and exited with a class of like 220.
Yeah, I had 320 when we started, and I think 180 or 200 graduated maybe.
Yeah. The egg drop contests were really cool.
I like educators out there. If you're still teaching this,
Norman Chan teaches teaching.
If you're still teaching the how to take care of a child and responsibility as a young adult class, lead in to the egg challenge by using the raise a child.
Those are
as
two
an
different
egg.
classes.
Yeah.
One's usually like
Physical
life,
science.
and one is physics. No, we did that in my senior physics.
Some-
It was
in some
I did it in middle
schools-
school.
35 feet was a lot.
In
We did a
some
10-foot one
schools,
in middle
the physics
school.
teacher is the social science.
I don't think that's
No.
true.
The physics teacher might be like the basketball coach.
Or
but
the
that's as
chemistry
far as it
teacher.
I
goes.
definitely had a physics teacher who was a gym coach.
There's a lot of coach overlap, but not a lot of
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Our physics teacher was like
PE
a
teacher.
70-year-old guy. He was real crotchety.
My physical science teacher taught the girls volleyball team.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
physics
physical.
teacher?
So physical science and physics are two different things.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to be clear.
But that's what I had to go with.
Okay. I think I think my physics teacher also taught like remedial chemistry. So, because he was good at it. I
Bunch
don't
of
know.
cuts.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got 2 classes, 1 egg. It's the real Superman experience.
But
Does baby Cal egg make it to the pavement?
You named your baby Cal Egg.
I'm saying they
I
raise
understand.
it and send it on a spaceship.
Do you wrap him in a little space Superman costume so that he has a costume that's made of Kryptonian material that will last him?
Baby Superman never wore a costume.
Okay. I'm going to play some music that's all the news we've got, and then we'll talk about what we've been testing.
This episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace, it's the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy for you to create your own professional website or online portfolio. Support us and support Squarespace by getting a free trial at squarespace.com and getting 10% off your first purchase with the offer code TEST. That's TEST, like
Hey.
tested.
Hey, Norm, did you know that all Squarespace websites use responsive designs?
Yeah, like our site's also responsive design.
Yeah, so there's a built-in mobile site. It's all right there. Squarespace. What have you been? So I've been testing the Paperwhite 2nd Gen.
Did you ask yourself a question and answer
I
it?
did.
Will, what have you been testing?
Hey, Wes, thanks for asking. I've been testing the Paperwhite 2nd Gen. It's
What do
the
you
new
think about
Kindle. I actually think I like the old one better. There's a little bit of interface lag, and it seems like the screen is not as sensitive on the new one as it was on the old one.
This is what you had when Jeremy was here?
This is what I had when Jeremy was here. And it seems like when you tap the screen, sometimes I tap it, and I feel like that would have been an appropriate tap on the old one, and it is not on the new one. I'm going to do some side-by-side testing, maybe get out the high-speed iPhone camera and see what I can see. But it's a little bit disappointing. I was a little bummed.
That makes me mad because I want a new Kindle with physical buttons, and failing that, I want the touchscreen to be so good that I don't care anymore.
Well, so the thing is, I mean, just to be clear, the touches that I'm talking about not registering are very light, but that has worked for me. Like, I feel like I'm using it exactly the same way I used the old one. It's also been a little bit crashy. Like, it's crashed a couple of times, which isn't, I guess, abnormal for new Kindles, because I feel like the old Paperwhite got much more stable over the year that I've had it so far, or year that I've used it.
You mean with updates?
With
or
updates,
just-
yeah, they constantly are updating that thing. Like, if you're reading at midnight or 1 a.m., sometimes it'll say, hey, there's an update. Do you want to install it now or do you want to wait? And then it just does it anyway because you usually don't notice the thing.
You can customize the touch sensitivity to some extent, or at least the areas that are touch sensitive to some extent.
I don't think you can customize the areas because it uses the kind of 1/3, 2/3 top portion.
Is the entire screen? I guess it's not a touch sensitive screen. It's the IR.
No, it's not IR anymore. It's a capacitive.
The whole thing is touch.
The whole thing is a touch surface.
So why not have an advanced mode to let people customize?
Because I think it is a toaster, right? It is a device that is for reading text on a page.
Toasters should get a lot smarter. I'd buy a smart toaster.
I have a smart toaster.
Nest.
My toaster
or toaster oven?
Toaster ovens are a ripoff.
Dude,
Why are toaster ovens rip off? Toaster ovens are great.
Everybody I've ever
toasters are bullshit. Toaster ovens
are great.
Toaster ovens are a massive, massive waste of energy as a general rule.
but they're like an oven that is
Yeah.
smaller.
But why not just use your oven?
Because it takes 5 times longer to heat up.
Heat up.
You guys are
Toasting things in
bachelors.
the toaster oven. You can cook entire meals in toaster ovens.
Yeah, of course you can. You can cook entire meals in a crock pot. I can cook entire meals in a hole in my backyard.
Toaster ovens are wonderful, and you could also use the parts of a toaster oven to make a vacuum forming machine.
That is a totally valid use of a toaster oven. The problem with toaster ovens is that generally they don't heat very evenly, is my understanding. So you end
if
up
you
with
need
hot and cold spots inside the oven. So they're not really good for cooking. They're good for
perfect-
toasting, and only marginally good at that.
No, you could make a prime rib in a toaster oven that's delicious.
We used to have, we had a bagel toaster at our house. One of our roommates had one, and I would toast a bagel in it, and it would come out and be, if I got the exact right setting on it, it would be like, browned on the bagel. By the time I put like some jam or butter on it or cream cheese and ate it, it's already cold.
My toaster,
Fuck toasters.
My toaster has a bit more button. So when it pops up and you're like, oh, this isn't quite toasted enough, I would like it toasted a bit more. You hit that and it
Saying
toasted
it's
a bit more.
All surface level toasting, no heating through.
Well, but that's
Toaster
what a
ovens,
toaster is for.
So versatile.
Bagel toasters are supposed to only toast the cut side. You don't toast the not cut side of a bagel, or else it ends up like a concrete brick in your mouth.
Not all of us have ovens that are perfectly even temperature, and
I have a much shittier oven than you, I assure you.
I'm saying toaster oven in terms of convenience and versatility and what you can do with it.
Here's the thing. Your oven is like a Porsche, right? You have a really sweet oven. It is a high performance, high power
I
toasting
would
machine.
sometimes prefer to use a toaster oven because it's just that much easier.
So instead of taking the Porsche out to toast your bagel in the morning, you fire up the old Yugo that's been on bricks in the backyard.
It's not a Yugo. It's like a Prius.
Oh, it's not a Prius. It is. Let's say, what's the analogy here? It's probably a muscle car.
It's not. No.
Because it
Great.
doesn't go that fast, but it uses a shitload of gas. That toaster oven is probably the least efficient thing in your house.
I doubt that.
Blow dryer is probably the least efficient thing in the house.
Do you have a blow dryer in your house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, behind the blow dryer, and maybe one of the computers, and probably the TV, the toaster oven's probably number 4, if I had to guess. Maybe that if you have an OG
in terms
Xbox.
of sheer convenience
Yes.
and versatility,
Next week on Toaster Wars.
I think toaster oven is one of the best appliances.
There are so many
You can
things
have.
that I'll cook in a toaster
Counter
oven
space, too.
that you would often cook in the microwave,
But I would
and it
prefer to-
will end up shittier.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're talking about
And
using the
microwave's
toaster oven versus
using-
the microwave,
The microwave uses way more energy than the toaster oven.
600 watts.
Depends
But usually for a
depends on the
very low
microwave.
amount of time. Well, most inbuilt microwaves are 500 or 600 watts.
Also, how often would you, if you take a piece of pizza out that you're going to reheat or
Yeah.
something like
I
that,
always do that in the oven.
you
the
fire
oven?
up your whole
Fuck
oven
yes.
for like,
For like 2
one,
slices of
one or
pizza?
2 slices.
Well, there's 2 of us usually, so there's usually 3 slices of pizza.
3 still. You can
That's
fit 3.
perfect toaster oven. Grilled
Yep.
cheese.
But
Reheating
I have a
pizza.
pizza stone in my oven, so the bottom gets nice and crisp. It's real good.
You're reheating pizza.
Yeah. Well, if it's worth reheating, it's worth reheating right. If it's not worth reheating, I eat it cold.
Which is why you get a toaster oven.
As opposed to just using it in the microwave.
Toaster oven is never the right answer. Okay.
Wow.
So Paperwhite 2nd gen, it's pretty good, except for the touch thing.
Is it as good as a toaster oven?
I think it's better than a toaster oven. I had no idea that toaster ovens were this divisive a topic.
No, toaster ovens are great, and you're the only person.
I bet Joey doesn't like toaster ovens. He has his headphones on though, so we can't tell.
Joey would totally like toaster,
Toaster ovens, Joey, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh,
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Boo. Boo, Joey. Let's see what else. I also tested out the Innova immersion circulator. So I think that probably this year there's going to be a strong push from multiple vendors to make a $200 immersion circulator for sous vide cooking the perfect holiday gift for loved ones,
Who already have sous vide machines?
I don't think it. No. It's if you don't have nobody has sous vide machines at home because the current prior to the current crop of $200 ones, either they were kind of crappy, like that thing that you plugged a crock pot into and put a temperature probe in the crock and it kind of did what you want but didn't really circulate the water. It just kind of made it more or less the right temperature. Or they were really expensive, like the Polyscience model that's $400. So the Sansair, which we talked about before, I got to go up and see that in Seattle a few weeks ago. Innova has a unit that's just out now that's also $200. And I've used it quite a bit. We'll do a video with it shortly, either a full stand-up review or a show and tell or something. But it's $200 and it is precise on the same level that you would expect a Polyscience. It seems to be able to do about 6 gallons of water, which is basically a cooler full of water, which is more than I've ever needed to immersion cook something, and seems to be pretty good. It's a little bit loud is the only criticism I have so far. But yeah, I cooked some steaks. I cooked a bunch of eggs. We've cooked chicken, I guess. I cooked some fish. Fish was really good. What else? I was thinking about doing a turkey, just to see what a sous vide turkey is like.
That sounds weird. I mean, it's probably really good, but just picturing a turkey being cooked in that way seems strange.
Well, so you typically with chicken, I did, instead of putting it in just an empty bag that I sucked all the air out of, I put some olive oil and a little bit of salt and pepper and stuff in there to kind of flavor it up a little bit. And that was awesome for, instead of doing things you would normally boil chicken for, like chicken salad.
When you say turkey, you mean a whole turkey, right?
Well, you have to break it down. So you know how when you take a whole chicken and you turn it into 2 breasts and a pair of thighs and a pair of wings and a pair of drumsticks, you do the same thing with the turkey.
I just want you to put a whole turkey in a cooler. And
No. You have to put it in a vacuum bag first and then put it in a cooler. That seems like a real bad idea. But it's pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm going to be interested. I think my Sansair is supposed to come soon, so we'll probably wait and see to do a direct comparison until we get that. Because my hunch is that the Sansair is going to be a little bit quieter than this one from what I saw in the prototypes, but I don't know for sure. And I haven't done anything that's 72 hours yet. I haven't made short ribs or anything like that. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. Norm, anything on your testing list?
I did Google Checkout Express this week.
You
Shopping Express?
Bought something from the internet and had it delivered the same day?
So Google is experimenting with a new service right now only in the Bay Area and in the South Bay, close to where Google is, where if you order something, they actually send people out to select stores in the area, buy them, and then have the item delivered to you on the same day.
So is this like a front end for Google Shopping? If you go to shopping.google and type in something, will it say this is eligible for same-day delivery?
It's completely separate site and service. Right now it's free for 6 months, but the standard delivery charge is $5 per order, I think.
Is that per stop per order, or does that mean you can send somebody to Best Buy and to the grocery store and something else?
$5 is still really cheap if you're paying somebody to get you $100 of groceries.
So they were stressed from talking to my friends at Google. They were stress testing this all last couple months, and they gave everyone at Google $25 to buy stuff, and they just want people to buy as many different things. And these are contractors who wear green Google shirts and go to the stores. So if you're in the Bay Area, you'll see these people in stores, just with big shopping bags and carts, and all you do is buy stuff, and they package it. They throw the receipt in the bag if you need to return it, and then they will drop by within a window, so you can say, "I want it delivered."
So what did you buy?
From 1 to 5. I just got some toothbrush stuff.
So you
so something from Lucky's.
You bought a toothbrush and had it delivered. I want to see how fast the service was.
This
reminds me. So when did you order it?
Ordered morning.
What
2 days
time?
Ago.
8
a.m. 8
o'clock. Okay.
And got it. I think it
was here before noon.
1 to 5.
Yeah.
And it got here around 3 o'clock, and same day delivery.
Huh.
And in San Francisco, they have like Target, Lucky Supermarket, like Dodo Case for some reason, REI, which is like just down the block
I
from
need a
us,
tent and some shoes.
and like Nob Hill Foods. So you even have like fancy foods.
Ooh, can I get some sort of fancy
I
French
would
goat
not
cheese?
recommend getting food through this service.
Do you think they're refrigerated, the trucks?
I'm curious to see.
They probably have like refrigerated bags type deal.
Yeah,
If you order
like
something
an insulated
like
bag.
avocados or tomatoes, if they are good at picking out the right ones, or if they just don't care.
Well, that's always the problem with the grocery. Like Safeway.com, when you order produce from Safeway.com, like you're entirely at the mercy of the person who comes. Well, like one time last year, Gina and I both had a horrible flu at the same time, and we both wanted like Gatorade and saltines. Neither of us wanted to get up and go to the grocery store, and so we ordered Safeway.com, and then also got some avocados because that sounded good. The avocados they brought were terrible.
If you live in the Bay Area, there's also an app for this.
What's the
to
URL?
sign up. I think it's like shopping. If you search Google Shopping Express,
Okay.
it's google.com/shopping/express. There's an app also, 6 months free. I think their plan is to make it subscription based after 6 months if you want to try it.
So typically, Google's plan with this stuff is they're collecting some kind of data with every new service they roll out, right?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it's.
You think they're just trying it out?
There's not that many people they could do this. I think it is a way for them. I have no idea actually why Google wants to do this.
Why Google? Why would you do this?
Yeah,
it's
just like Amazon's doing cell phones. I have no idea.
Yeah. I hooked up last week. The if this then that, I guess is what the if TTT stands for, is a website that lets you do things. And it started out as like if you get a Twitter mention, then you can send a text to yourself so you know that you got a Twitter mention from somebody that you like or something. I went to hook that up to my SmartThings account. So SmartThings are the home automation things. And I finally found the use for SmartThings. I'm now totally on board. It works with Philips Hue too, I think. You can turn on the lights in your house 20 minutes after sunset. So now, when the sun goes down, assuming my house is not in vacation mode, which means I'm not going to be in the house, the lights turn on. When the sun, at 11 o'clock at night, the lights turn off unless I'm walking around in the room. This is amazing. It's great. It's like living in Star Trek.
Has this improved your quality of life?
Not really, but it's kind of cool, I guess.
Kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's the story of home automation. Hey, it's kind of cool, I guess. We're also baby proofing now because the baby is crawling and starting to pull up on shit. So that means that anything that isn't attached to the walls has to be attached to the walls. And also all the cords have to be removed from the house. I don't know. I would love to hear people's strategies on getting rid of power strips in your homes, because that is the thing. That's the problem we face, because we have an old house with not that many power outlets. They're not every 6 feet or whatever they're supposed to be now. And power strips are a significant baby proofing challenge, because there's nothing she loves more than wires. And the first place everything goes straight in the mouth. So
Babies are just experimenting with the world.
Well, she's
all
chasing
babies
death
are
is what she's
scientists.
doing. That is true. All babies are scientists. Anything else? I've been playing Legend of Zelda on the 3DS.
Again, you asked yourself a question
Sorry.
and immediately answered it.
I've been hanging out with my mom. I've spent time with my mom, and she does that all the time. It drives me fucking crazy, and now I'm doing it.
What Zelda on the 3DS?
The original, the 1987
The
Legend of Zelda. Yeah.
Are you playing Second Quest or?
I started with a blank save, and I had forgotten the old Zelda trick, which lets you start with the second quest. But I've been playing the first quest, and it's fun.
It's a hard ass game.
It is a hard ass game. I posted about it on Twitter the other night, and somebody responded, "Yeah, I tried that a few weeks ago, and I decided I was going to play it like a roguelike. So it was every time he dies, he just deletes the save and starts over."
That would last like 10 minutes for me.
There's no way I would have gotten to the 5th dungeon and then just killed myself.
I didn't get into games young enough to ever really like establish the innate skills necessary to deal with the old school of design where every enemy just touching you like
does damage,
severely damages you.
Yeah.
And like that was my biggest challenge in Zelda, is just because the speed of this sword swinging is relatively slow. That so many enemies will just walk into you regularly as you're trying to stab them. And
the movement on a lot of them it's not random exactly,
erratic,
but it is very erratic. So and because you can't kind of swing and move, You have to position yourself just outside of range and then hope that they don't get to you before. But once you kind of get the knack of it, it's okay. It's not hard.
It's the kind of game that people who have played it for years and years can make it look extremely easy.
Yes.
I've played a good bit of that game, but it never came easily for me.
The other thing I had forgotten completely about Zelda is how completely nonlinear it is.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, in 1987, like, it was a game, if you have the mechanical skills to do it and you have bombs, which you get like at the first store you open if you have some gold, you can basically go and beat like the dungeons in any order you want for the most part, which is pretty unbelievable for a game. And also, there's absolutely no hand-holding. Like, it doesn't tell you where the next dungeon is, and it is a big-ass world.
And the series has done a complete 180 from that over the years.
Yeah, that happened with Link to the Past, right? Where all of a sudden you have to have the previous dungeon's weapon in order to succeed in the next dungeon for the most part. I mean,
and that's still not a hand-holdy game at all.
No.
But since then, they have introduced more and more
especially
of
with 3D,
that.
yeah. I don't know. I'm quite enjoying it. I don't know if I'll get all the way to the end, but I'm through into the sixth dungeon now. It's much faster. It's a shorter game. If you open up a map on the internet and look to see where you're supposed to go next, it is a much shorter game than it was when I played it when I was 12 years old and just had the Nintendo Power here's where to bomb guide.
I'm really curious how the new one on 3DS, Link Between Worlds, turns out, because they're saying all the items you will just buy or rent from a store.
Yeah.
So you could potentially, not only do you open up the possibility of like renting items really cheaply and then never dying and be able to get through a like no death run of the game really quickly, there's also the cool factor of, you can beat everything out of order or in any order you want. The question that raises is, how is difficulty balance going to work in that game? Like, is the last dungeon, quote unquote, going to have the exact same like spread of enemies as the first dungeon? Is there some kind of dynamic scaling where it gets harder in some way? I don't know.
Those games have always done equipment-based progression, right? You don't gain, like, there's never been a skill tree or anything like that aside from you upgrade your suit and your suit you're now fire resistant or whatever. So I'm interested. I'm super interested in that. I started playing this because I went to the eShop and was looking for Link to the Past to play that again, but it's not. It seems to be unavailable everywhere unless you have the old GBA cart. So I was a little surprised by that. But yeah, it looks quite good. Like I was shocked at how fun Legend of Zelda, a 25-year-old game, this 26-year-old game at this point, is in the modern, hey, I've been playing a lot of roguelikes lately sense.
Good bones hold up.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, the skeleton of that game, like the core design of it, is still really good.
It's super solid, and it works surprisingly well on mobile also, on the little screen. Anything else we want to talk about in what we've been testing? Wes, you been into anything good?
Not really. Been playing a lot more games than usual. Relatively more than usual. I just played through both Batman Arkham City and Tomb Raider, and apparently, so I beat Arkham City on Saturday, and as of today or yesterday, they have taken Games for Windows Live out of it, as Games for Windows is dying, right? They did this with BioShock 2 just a couple weeks,
also with
like a week ago.
Oh, really? That's good news.
BioShock 2 and Minerva's Den. Minerva's Den is like free
and
on Steam
Borderlands
now.
1 doesn't have... Oh, no, that was GameSpy in Borderlands 1. But
yeah. So anyway...
So who's doing this? The publishers?
I think so, yeah. Or developers. And I don't know who's actually committing the work involved in doing it. But so it's on Steam now, and I believe they have rolled... The original version of Arkham City is no longer available. It's just Game of the Year edition now. They just like rolled those together.
Everybody got that. Everybody has that.
Games for Windows Live is cut out of it. As a result, your old save file no longer works.
Oh, fuck you.
So I'm really glad that I beat the game. I mean, I kind of wish I had waited to play it another week.
They don't have a port, like a path for that?
Nope.
Dude, I have a fucking 100 assholes. assholes.
So don't update that game on Steam, I guess. I don't know if you'll be able to play it without updating it. Probably can.
Probably. Oh, that's such horseshit.
But yeah, I'm really glad that I beat it Saturday instead of
Oh yeah.
being 2/3 of the way through it today and
course.
there's Steam update for this game, and then it's gone.
On the other hand, you'd be able to download a save now that just puts you more or less where you were.
Maybe. I mean,
The question marks wouldn't be right. The Riddler trophies.
people usually put up like 100% complete saves. I don't know
Yeah.
about 60% of
That's
the
what
way
I
into the
got.
story or whatever. So
So
good for people who haven't played Arkham City. Maybe
Yeah.
bad for people who are in progress or beat it and wanted to keep those save
what'd you
files.
think about Tomb Raider?
It's good.
Okay. Why?
I didn't think it was amazing.
It has a good bow.
The bow's really fun. Like the feel of that game is fun. I was really, really impressed with the animation and how well it ran on PC, and just like how much of the animation and mechanics in that game are contextual, where there's not a cover button. Laura just does a really good job of crouching when you get behind cover.
Yeah.
Whenever you're walking through, I mean, there's like the canned animation of going through like small, rock areas. But even when you're walking through caves and stuff, she'll touch the walls and the ceilings.
Very Assassin's Creedy in that
and,
regard.
you can just hold a button to pull a torch out, and she'll automatically like wave it around and like light stuff on fire when you stand near it. And I thought like the look of that game and everything they did with the character movements and everything was really impressive. I thought it was just so ridiculously over the top while trying to be serious.
Yeah, so my only, like, mechanically, I really liked that game a lot. The only problem I had with it was the dichotomy between, oh, I'm new to killing people, and this is very heart-wrenching, and then, oh, by the way, I just went and murdered 55 people straight. And
It
it's
gets
like
one
the Uncharted.
It gets one throwaway line where Roth, her tutor, kind of is
Yeah.
like I know that's like she's like, I just killed somebody, or I killed a couple people, and he's like, I know that must be really hard for you. And she's like, actually, it's scary how easy it was. And then from that point on, just no remorse, just murder everybody, and run away from exploding airplanes, slide down like
Right.
mountain gullies 15 times.
The death animations were pretty grim. Were unfortunate.
I actually never saw any of those.
Oh, that would have made the game better, because if you had problems with one of those sequences where you're sliding down a water chute, the thing that was on Conan, where she kept impaling herself under the jaw
I've
on
seen
a
that, like-
fucking pole.
yeah, I've seen
it's
it
the
online,
worst thing
but
ever. It's horrible.
I managed to avoid all those in the game.
I almost stopped playing because of I kept hitting that one spot, and it was real bad. Anyway, anything else, Norm, for you?
I've been testing a mini quadricopter.
Ooh.
That is, it's from 1SV.
By testing, you mean crashing a lot?
Crashing a lot.
In the house or outside?
In the house.
Okay.
And been trying to get that stabilized. But it is a recommended one, so I'm trying to get that to work right now.
Okay. I guess that's it for what we've been testing. What do you guys say to taking a couple of questions?
Do it.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Email.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions?
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep your questions short, under 45 seconds, and don't make it sound like you're standing behind a jet turbine, or turbine, as people are going to say. Here is the first question. It comes from James. Hey, Tested Crew, is it just me, or is the new Amazon Kindle Mayday feature A, slightly creepy, and B, the beginning of a really weird drinking game? Thanks, and always be testing, James.
That's the help.
That's
the
the
live help
lady's head in
feature,
the
right?
box that pops up and says, hey, I heard you were having problems with your Kindle. I can draw on the screen and let you know what you should be doing.
So what is Amazon's procedure going to be for dealing with prank calls to the helpline?
I have to imagine that they're going to put a certain number of prank calls on your account, and then they'll turn off Mayday for you if you annoy
Don't
them
waste
too
our
much.
prank call cap.
That would be
Yeah.
I can see why that would be a drinking game.
The prank calls have to be really good before, because you probably bet you get two, and they're like, no, you're not allowed to make Mayday calls anymore.
How long can you stretch a conversation with one of these people?
Because they want them to last like 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
Can you get one to stretch 5 minutes?
I don't know. Well, maybe this is an
Remember,
Octobercast
they can't
game.
see you. You
we can see them.
What was the first part of his question? Is it creepy? Or
Is it
something?
creepy? I think it's creepy that they can see what's on your screen at any time. Like that
You
is a
should creep
worrisome
them out
feature.
by doing increasingly inappropriate things subtly.
What if you have? Can you put the front camera preview on you, and so then they can see you?
I don't think so.
We can try. There's a whole world of opportunity to test this stuff out. The next question is from Darren. Darren says, "Hey guys, I run a library in New Jersey, and we are considering a makerspace project. We have an unused courtyard garden that we were thinking of incorporating into the project. My questions to you: most public library makerspaces focus on emergent tech like 3D printers, Arduino, robotics, etc. However, that model is a few years old. Is there new stuff that we should be thinking about that is outside of this realm?" Second question, given the garden, are there any interesting approaches to gardening or agricultural self-sufficiency that might work in a makerspace environment that you're aware of? Half of our community are homeowners and the other half live in apartments. We'd like to provide some interesting options to celebrate our town's agricultural past, yet be practical for folks today in a 40-foot by 40-foot space. Sorry if this is nebulous. Thanks.
Solar power?
I think the 3D printers, Arduino robotics stuff is pretty open-ended. The only thing I would say that a lot of makerspaces and libraries don't necessarily have is kind of traditional manufacturing stuff like mills and lathes and shop tools, stuff like that. But I would say like poll your community and see what they're into. Like I don't know if a vote is the right way to do it, but talk to the people who you think will use the makerspace and engage them and see what they want to do. So what do you think, Norm?
I have no experience setting up makerspaces. I'm much
Well,
curious
I mean,
as
we've
well.
been in a lot of shops, so I mean, the stuff that seems to get used is more useful than a 3D printer is a mill and a lathe.
Was the courtyard thing asking for ideas of making, like using the courtyard as a maker project, or just what kind of things you can have outside?
I think it's like what kind of stuff we've seen outside. I know we have a lot of community gardens in San Francisco. There's a big one near my house by the Best Buy in Colma that's just open to people in Colma to come plant. And they have that's like 20 acres, so it's a massive amount of space. But even in San Francisco proper, there are like center courtyard gardens all over the place where people can get a 2-foot by 2-foot patch or a 5-foot by 5-foot patch and plant tomatoes or corn or whatever it is they want to grow there. So I mean I love the community garden thing. If you do boxes, then you can build that up some. I don't know that I would take out a garden that's existing and put shop space out there, especially if you're someplace that rains a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a better opportunity to do some kind of special growing project out there using maker tech. I don't know what that would be.
You don't even need. I mean, I think teaching people how to plant a garden is a perfectly usable. That counts as making.
Teach them how to plant a garden at home
Yeah.
using the shared garden space.
Right. Well, and if the 40-foot, I mean, if people who live in apartments frequently don't have space to plant a garden, so maybe make some space available for them. And the other thing is, if you guys, I also want to put this out there because if you guys have suggestions for this, then post them in the comments. I'm sure Darren will check it out. I think we have one more question. This comes from Hunter. Hey, Tested Team, I'm looking to build a computer for the retirement community my grandparents are living in. They're interested in the whole Skype, FaceTime concept and would like to see their grandkids and great-grandkids more often than they can. Do you have any suggestions for the best video camera and monitor? I would prefer to go with a Mac Mini so that they can use FaceTime as well as Skype. This is the added benefit of being harder for them to open and tinker with. This will be in the communal area so other people can use it as well. I'd prefer a larger screen for their aging eyes, but how will the video quality scale up to a big screen? Thanks for suggestions. Keep on testing. I immediately thought Mac Mini, iMac, but that's probably outside the budget. If you want to do FaceTime, you have to have a Mac. That's the unfortunate side effect of, unless you want to put an iPad up on the wall and just leave it plugged in all the time. But that seems a little weird.
That's a system that would break down occasionally.
Yeah, and the other thing is FaceTime. I guess you would have people's one shared account that everybody calls into, but I don't know how that would work. I think an iMac is the safest, easiest thing to do. Because if you do a Mac Mini, you're going to have an external monitor and a USB webcam and all that stuff. And if you buy a Mac Mini and a cinema display, which has that stuff built in, then you're probably into Mac Mini, iMac territory at that point.
Why not iPad?
Cost-wise.
iPad, I think, is still better than iMac. Easier to use.
That's true. You
iPad, it's one button on the home screen, one
just
setup.
get an iPad and a stand to put it on the couch, like a articulated arm, or like my mic arm, something like that. It's not a bad idea, and you can use Skype and FaceTime and whatever else people are using to do video conferencing with the iPad. And it has a good camera on the
and
front.
you can tether out.
Tethering out is a little bit hinky. I've done that a fair amount with FaceTime, and weird things happen. But, I mean, the 10-inch iPad's a nice big screen anyway. So, there you go. iPad. That's our answer. If you have a question for us, again, the email address is podcast@tested.com, and we like to hear your questions. So, that'll do it for us this week, I guess. Wesley Fenlon, anything to plug that you've been working on lately?
No, read tested.
Read Tested. It's pretty good. I mean, we have a great website for you today.
I did a feature recently that isn't up yet because it's based on a video that will go up at some point, and we'll put that out when that happens, and it'll be good.
It's a fantastic.
Yeah.
November.
Anybody growing a mustache for Move Member?
No.
Eating a lot of tacos for Tacotober.
Tacotober is pretty good. Norm, anything for you? You good?
Nope.
I guess that'll do it for us this week. I think that we should go get some lunch, gentlemen. Today's outro, I did not write down the person's name. So thank you to whoever made today's outro. It was funny. Hi there, I didn't see you. Tested. Wow, that one was good. It looked like the poop exploded out of the bag. Tested. I don't remember saying that.
In what situation would a poop explode out of the bag?
I gotta assume it's like a flaming bag on somebody's front porch, and you walk up and you stomp the bag, and then the poop blasts out of the bag.
We have never watched that video on this podcast.
What video?
We've never done anything with that.
A flaming
bag.
poop bag.
Flying poop bag? Joey says yes.
Joey remembers it.
Poop exploding out of a bag? Yeah, no, I clearly don't remember.
Oh, it was that one. It was during a quick look of something.
Was
Or
there poop?
Extended test. No, it looked like there was a bag on the table.
Oh, okay. This was for the
What was it?
The touch the motion
The leap motion.
leap motion controller.
Yeah, that thing was
which was a
poop.
sack of crap, but there was no actual sack of crap.
No, we just had the crap and the explosion.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
very good.
Bye.